Hello and welcome to the 19th episode of Double Feature Horror Show. I hope you're doing well. It is an absolutely sweltering day, so the best time to get some chills. That is the best link we came up with, and we're not going to change it now. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm also hoping you enjoyed this week's horror film. I announced it last week at the end of the stream, and I posted it on Twitter. If you want to get a little advance warning of all the horror homework, so you always know what we're going to be covering each week, you can follow me on Twitter at Proper Horrors, and you can also find me as Proper Horror Show on Minds, just so you're not scrambling to find out what the movie of the week is going to be. That sounds a little bit of an odd intro. It's because I always forget to do that every single week, and I usually remember about 2 hours into the stream that I should actually be telling people about that stuff. This week, we're on the ball. I'm joined as ever by fabulous co-hosts, That Crime Guy. How you doing?
What up, my shillers?
Good week so far?
A hot week. I don't like the heat.
No.
Which is odd because I was born in the summer, so I should be a summer baby, but nah, not for me.
It's too much. It's just too much. I can't handle it. And I also did some prep this week. I sent you my predicted score for Haryan.
You did.
I promised it last week. I promised I'm actually going to try and predict Haryan's score because I'm terrible at it. We'll see if it might work.
It might. Let's see how accurate you were at the end of the review.
And of course, it would not be Double Feature Horror Show without Haryan here. How are you doing?
All right, what up, my drillers? Let's hunt some nonces, if you're allowed to say that on YouTube. You know, unlucky if you can't get monetized now.
Oh, don't.
Show, but...
I wouldn't worry about that. We were streaming last night, and Zen and Mitch were repeatedly spouting the nonce word out. It did get demonetized for a little bit, but it's back all green. So YouTube are pro nonce hunting, so we're all good there.
So we
nice, Susan. Thank you.
We have an N word past them for nonce. Excellent.
Apparently so.
That's fine. I've not been trying to get to the 1,000 mark for ages. Don't worry about it. Just, you know what? If we haven't made it in 2 months, I say let's just have a party and we'll just rock out. That's a great plan.
Angry shrouded hand noises.
Yeah. Before we make any other rash decisions, I want to welcome a returning guest, Charity Rivers. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing fabulous. How is everyone?
Boiling.
Same.
Dying from heat.
My hair's stuck to my forehead and but it's fine.
I am sweating like a nun in a brothel.
Yeah. Right Honourable Fez, who's there in the chat, can see you. He said that given the theme of our topic tonight, that we should be by a roaring fire, reclining in an armchair with a nice cigar, a bottle of brandy, a smoking jacket. It's not going to happen tonight, Fez. You are lucky I'm clothed at all, frankly. Atrocious, weltering miasma. Far too British for this sort of weather.
There's a reason I wasn't on webcam before the show started.
Yeah, same here.
And it was the most enjoyable backstage session of the show ever. Now, Charity, last time we had you on here, you had continued the grand suggestion of successful recommendations. You recommended us Ready or Not from 2019.
Oh, yeah.
This week, a few weeks ago, I contacted you to watch this week's movie.
Yeah.
Because I was super interested in how you would feel about an older movie. This is something I really like doing, especially for people who might not have heard of these films, who almost certainly haven't seen them. Because I know that I know that you said on the first show, oh God, I shouldn't be looking at the chat. I'm seeing some things here. I know that you said on the first appearance that basically Scream was your sort of inroad to horror. Am I remembering that right?
Yes.
Nice. I'm gonna, without going too much into it. Had you heard of Fright Night before?
I don't think before I watched Scream. No, but I heard of it since, but I hadn't watched it before.
Nice. Okay, fantastic. So
I knew that it was like a staple.
yeah. Oh, I'm going to be interested in what you think. Just want to say hi to everyone in the chat. Hi, Jan. Good to see you. Hi, Yiz. Folks, if you're interested, on Friday, I was on Yiz's channel on the Corner Club talking horror movies. If Double Feature Horror Show is not enough horror conversation for you in a week, I'd advise you go back and watch that episode. If you can probably find Yiz's channel via Yiz the Eunuch. I think it is on YouTube. Also, hi Mima, hi Tidge, good to see you. Hi Desiccated Limbs. Right, the favourite part of the show for everyone. The thing everyone comes for. The topic section.
Go on.
Don't back me up on that or anything, guys.
Absolutely. This is what I live for.
Delicious. I want to know from the chat, and I want to know especially from you all. I'm going to be talking about horror hosts, and I'm going to talk about them quite briefly. But had you heard of horror hosts before? If I say horror host, does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. The first image in my head is the Simpsons take on it, where they had Boobarella. That's basically all I really know of horror hosts, but I can see why you've made it the topic this week anyway, because of the film.
Yeah, I mean, when you think horror hosts, the first thing that comes to my mind is the old like zombie / dead guy from Tales of the Crypt.
Yeah, definitely. He is very much sort of coming off that tradition.
Yeah,
albeit slightly differently. Now, Charity, you're a Zoomer. Am I right? So I'm going to take a wild guess at horror.
A late one.
So
no, an early one. Sorry,
an early one. Okay, so this is going to be, I'm guessing, horror hosts from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. They're, I'm guessing that's slightly weird, slightly unusual territory. If you've even heard on them, and this is fine not to have heard. Okay.
I've never watched any of them though. I kind of had a picture of what they were, and then once the film started, I was like, okay, yeah, I get what you mean now.
Yeah, you can see why I wanted to talk about them this week. I know most of us here, there are a heck of a lot of Brits in the chat. Sorry, in the chat. A bit Freudian after June, isn't it? It's a bit Freudian given tonight's film, actually. We will get into that. I know for a lot of Brits, the idea of a horror host is going to be quite a weird one. It's probably something most of us have encountered only sort of vaguely, sort of adjacently. They're not really a thing on British TV. The closest we came, as far as I know, was something that I put on this show many episodes ago, which was the Mark Kermode Extreme season, where Mark Kermode did a little introduction to a film that was going to show on Channel 4. But it's a much bigger tradition in America, and that tradition that you see sort of represented in Fright Night, I think is actually quite interesting, and I'm going to go out on the line and say quite cool. Now, bear in mind, I've got terrible taste, and I will probably be shouted down, but I kind of think horror show hosts are cool.
Yeah, they can be. They can be. Like I say, I mean, the Tales from the Crypt stuff, I always used to like the interest. The guy was creepy as hell. And even sort of to a lesser extent, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction. I mean, if you know that, if you know the meme, that was a lie. That was false.
Yes.
That meme.
Jonathan Frakes.
Jonathan Frakes, yeah. And before him, it was another guy. But some of the stories on there were almost horror based, and I really like the sort of introduction before a story just to sort of set the tone. I quite like that. If it's the right person. Like I say, Jonathan Frakes was quite good at it. And in fact, I've got the Beyond Belief playlist. I think on my channel was like a private playlist. I don't know if it's still available now because of copyright, but every so often me and the wife will go back to stuff like that. And
Is that similar to Please Believe It or Not?
Yeah. So yeah,
Okay,
essentially it was just, you were played, I think you were given like 5 short stories, and then you sort of had to guess whether they were based on real events or whether they were just completely made up. And yeah, it was pretty good. That's the one. Yes, The Thing with Riker. And I just realized as well that that's Anthony Stewart Head as his avatar. I've only ever seen it as a tiny thing. Love it. Love me a Buffy reference.
Yes, knows exactly what's going on. We embrace the cringe on this channel. We just go for it. We absolutely love it. And there is a certain element of cringe. So I'll just go over I'll go over them very briefly, just so you kind of get an image of what they are. It's kind of hard to find much in the way of footage of them. It's very low quality. I have a bit if you're really keen, but I've got to say it's quite low quality, I'm afraid. But we're going to start with showing you the first horror host.
It's always Booberella.
Yeah, you can see exactly what the Simpsons are pioneering. So, I mean, I don't think I've really gone over what they do. That, in short, people, just to spell it out, what the horror host did was they would get in costume, they would have a persona, and they would do a sort of hammed up introduction to an almost always low budget, cheap film.
Yeah.
Initially more of the suspense kind, but then it really got associated with horror because you can see sort of the over the top 50s, 60s horror really lends itself to that sort of slightly campy aesthetic. And if you think about it, it's not that weird a format. Think of like an MC in a circus, someone who's coming on, setting the stage, dropping some cringe jokes, and then introducing the acts and coming on sort of in between in intermissions and rounding things off. That's pretty much what they did. And it's got this extra sort of random factor in that it feels very, from what I can tell, sort of bodged together. So Vampira here is sort of working in the, I believe, late 50s. I think, yep. I'm checking my notes here. We got 1954 is when this starts. I think that's kind of amazing. 1954 we get this. And it's basically because there was a release into syndication of a package of cheap movies. Basically, almost copyright free, to simplify it. So suddenly, all the cable stations, and we've got to remember in the American setting, it's not your 3 or 4 official channels, it's hundreds of cable networks. They suddenly, they're small crews with a lot of hours to fill. They suddenly get their hands on a whole load of cheap movies that they can show. And so they try and make something of it and build it around a character. So you get here Vampira introducing it.
I have to ask, sorry, just before you continue. Is Morticia Adams' character design based off of Vampira or Vampira?
My guess it would be the other way round, but it's hard to say. I mean, that sort of waif-like figure feels like a sort of dark parody of the fashion of the time.
Right.
There will be a very obvious reference that we'll get to in a bit, I think. Is he Rory? Oh, hey, Rory, how you doing? Yeah, so they're
oh no, ghosts.
We
oh no,
in the chat, please.
They have a very different meaning on my channel, apparently. Thanks, Mima.
So the thing I kind of love about this, apart from the kind of ramshackle nature and the cringe, of course, I love the cringe, is that according to the background of this, the person doing the hosting was pretty much a randomer, whoever was basically around to do it got roped in. So you've got people who are usually like the weatherman on your cable network suddenly throws on a vampire cape and some fangs and rushes over to introduce an old 50s movie.
Brilliant.
I love
it. That's probably why they sound so ham-fisted.
It's like, it's great. Go ahead.
It's almost like in sort of like the gaming industry, you know, like you have those big gaming events like your E3s and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
You have those, and you have people that clearly don't have any sort of experience, like giving like massive presentations and whatnot.
Yeah,
and it almost seems like that, doesn't it? You know, these people just aren't. You know, I mean, Frakes was an actor, fair enough, for example, but you know, it wasn't a presenter as such.
No, Frakes is far too smooth. Far too smooth. No. I want the guy who was just like the line producer or the weatherman. That's the guy I want to be hosting. I want that sort of janky fun of it. We've also got some oddballs here, like Chili Billy here. I came across Chili Billy, not via a Google search for Jonathan Bowden lookalikes, but via a Tom Savini documentary called Smoke and Mirrors. And in a sort of weird twist, this guy was more of a traveling show guy.
Right.
And Tom Savini, as like a 14-year-old, is going to these shows and sort of doing his improvised monster makeup and then being invited on to be part of the show. And from that, it's one of the initial things that launched Tom Savini's career in horror special effects.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how he. That's Chili Billy there, also active late 50s, 60s, going around doing his show on a local network and then also doing little local events. And just, you can see the wonderful aesthetic there. If you're looking at the background, you can see that sort of painted dungeon wall.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Also went on to star in films such as Goodfellas and Home Alone. Yeah,
I know. There's some. Oh yeah, I thought you were going Ray Liotta, but yeah, I can see a bit of Pesci. Can you not see it?
I can on the hair maybe at the time, but there's definitely Joe Pesci.
Yeah, I can see it. Okay, and I'll introduce a little bit of a controversy, obviously. So we had, do I have the guy here? Don't think I have him. There's a guy called Sven Guli. You can tell the puns are part of the appeal for me as well. Sven Guli was one of the early people. He passed away, and there was an audition to replace him because these things were becoming a bit of a thing. Like, this isn't just a handful of people doing these shows. There are loads of horror hosts. If you look on the Wikipedia entry, there's actually quite a long list. They seem to have close to 100 horror hosts that they've got recorded on there. And following Sven Guli's death, there was a call to replace him. There was an open competition, and the winner of that competition was Cassandra Peterson, who would be known as Elvira.
Yeah.
You recognise the hair?
Yeah.
Sorry, hair?
So, yes, I recognise the hair. That's what I was looking at.
You could guard the Queen with that bonnet, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Oh my lord.
Yeah. So
well, she's my favourite host so far. Just saying.
Yes.
I think we might have a thing here. Mima, I'm approving of this.
Ghost Crew. Oh,
Ghost Crew. We're going to do it. Okay. There's so much here that I'm sort of unsure how much to even cover here. But we'll get a feel for what they did when we talk about the film. So I won't go into it too much, but you can, choosing my words carefully, you can probably see a certain influence of Vampira on Elvira. And it's sort of hard to talk about horror hosts without mentioning this because it was subject of a lawsuit.
Oh, really?
Yes, over copyright and stealing the image.
Christ.
I mean, really?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a shame.
I'm spotting
Okay.
one big difference or two big differences.
Yeah. Very different vibe, very different
Mm.
vibe. And from looking around, Cassandra Peterson, who, I mean, she's doing this in the 70s and 80s. She still looks amazing. Like, she's been going on, she's about 20 when she's doing this stuff. She is, you know, I've seen her on things recently. She looks amazing. Like, this woman has not aged. It's impressive. She's doing this with a very sort of campy vibe. I can try and give you a bit of a feeling for what she was like if you want to see. This may work, this may not work. If you want to see a little bit of Elvira.
Yes, I mean, sure, for research purposes.
Research, good.
Of course.
And for critique purposes.
Let's see how this goes.
I just realised my wife does watch these back.
Bill will get you a job at Kmart, and you can go part-time to City College to learn a trade. You'll be able to shop at the Galleria, watch cable TV, and make car payments. And then, of course, there's income tax to pay. I'll tell you, I will take the nightlife anytime. I mean, I love the nightlife. I love the boogie. I love the soul, yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
Disavow. That's just disavow in one image, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. God,
What,
I was expecting something more Eastern European, like from The Simpsons, but
No.
I was expecting. I'm not gonna lie. I was expecting something a bit more sultry, but that was. I was just like listening to some sort of like Texas. Just what was that?
I thought you might like it. This is kind of just the ramshackle nature of it that I kind of love. Now, my mild complaint would be that I don't like that they interrupt movies. But I guess if you think about it, the ad breaks, I guess it's just from the ad breaks, you would have had that. But something about a host interrupting to sort of make some puns about the film, I'm not sure I'd have gone for that. I mean, I really like the idea of someone introducing the film and sort of doing like a rounding off discussion at the end.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'd like them interrupting. Not so much.
No.
Yeah. And something else I'll just say to sort of... Richard is absolutely on the money. Yeah.
Wow.
Short-lived sitcom and a movie, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. Yes. I just thought that was pretty cool. Okay.
Very cool.
Yeah. If there is approval for horror hosts, give me a like on the video. Help spread the good word of horror hosts.
Smash that like button.
I just realised I haven't. I'm going to hit that like button now.
Stake that like button through the heart.
Oh,
just and you know, just like shove a pencil through the hand of that subscribe button. Don't know where I get my inspiration from.
Shoot it a good few times.
Yeah. So, and I'll round off with saying one thing, because I know this is going to be so alien to British people, this idea of the horror hosts, but I love it. I think it's so cool. If you've seen the film Ed Wood from 1994, directed by Tim Burton, anyone?
No, I don't think I've seen it.
Oh, okay, no worries. Maybe a more light-hearted watch for us another day. That sort of centers around the end of Vampira's career. It doesn't center around it, I shouldn't say that. She features in the movie because after her show ended, she was sort of, the career was, how can I say, a bit troubled, and one of the things that she ended up doing was starring in the Ed Wood films. I'm seeing people know Ed Wood.
Right, Oh, okay, nice. Right. I was about to say he looks massively like Johnny Depp. I've just seen the 1994 film. Yeah, it's Johnny Depp, isn't it?
If you haven't seen it, honestly, it's so good. I genuinely love that movie so much. But yeah, so that features Vampira. I was trying to get a clip from that because they have recreations of her show. I did have a clip of the intro for Vampira's show, but the quality was very, very low. I mean, you've got to remember, this was just sort of going out on local cable news in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. It was not widely captured. There's not all that much surviving footage of most of the horror hosts. So it's got this kind of like lost art vibe to it that I just think is really cool. And
it's such a shame that a lot of the stuff from back in the day hasn't been preserved properly, or like, you know, that lost art, or that lost media.
Yeah, it's something we come across a lot, I think, because we've talked before briefly about some of the really old horrors, and if you look into that, you just see so many. How can I say? You just see so many references to things that we only have still images of. So the famous examples of the Lon Chaney films, London After Midnight, things done in the 1920s that are absolutely iconic, and we just don't have a copy of them.
Yeah.
Was quite. I don't know. It's odd because now we're in the age where actually there's too much documentation, and basically people can deep dive anyone to scary degrees. You know, people are losing jobs for tweets they did sort of 14 years ago or something. And yeah, on the other end of this, you just got this. It's quite hard to get your head around the idea that so much of this stuff was made, put out, and now it's basically just disappeared into the ether.
Yeah.
So, an interesting bit of horror history, I hope, for everyone. It's something I'm a little fascinated by. I'm going to be looking into it a bit more, sort of, if I can find anyone who's sort of like, well, there are lots of them are notable, but if there's one that I think I'd particularly like to focus on, and it might be Elvira, because she is, you know, probably one of the best known horror hosts. We might return to the topic, but I just thought it'd be kind of interesting for British people, especially, to see this whole other world of horror viewing that people experienced.
I'm well up for more Elvira.
I thought you might be. I know my audience. And I'm trying to find the other thing I need, because, as with last week, we have certain requirements, people. We must not go on too long.
Oh, no.
If we go on too long, we will get bullied. We are not going to do a 4-hour stream again.
I got bullied anyway.
Look at you flinching.
You'll get bullied if the score is wrong. You know, I've got the highest hopes for this one. We're going to try and keep it to 2.5 hours. That is my goal.
No. Better get on with it then.
Good luck.
Yeah.
We are 28 minutes and 11 seconds in so far, so we less than 2 hours.
2 hours, good.
I did say it was going to be about 15 minutes on horror hosts, and once again I spent way too long yapping on the topic. Thank you, people.
Just quickly before we move on, I don't know if we overlooked this. Mr. Gently Benevolent says, when is Ms. Horrorshow going to take her obvious place as the modern horror host?
That's a good question.
It's a very good question.
I may have had some ideas. And
Are you going to dress up as a vampire?
Oh gosh, I think I have been having thoughts along this line, and it's how you do something like this without going into nostalgia critic territory. So let's, I've got to sort of limit the amount of cringe I do. Otherwise, I might get lost in the cringe. And you have to keep your perspective,
The black hole of cringe.
Exactly.
Past the horizon, no return.
Never go full nostalgia critic.
To be fair, I think you have to really try to be as cringy as nostalgia critic, so I wouldn't really worry about that.
Nice.
I think with him it just comes naturally. So
yeah,
Richard is right. Thank you, Richard. Yes, I'm going to keep this on screen so we remember.
Brutal.
All right, we have spoken. Charity, you've let us know that Fright Night is something you'd sort of been vaguely aware of. Can I quickly run it by Haryan and that crime guy? Had you heard of Fright Night? How familiar were you with it?
No. My answer? No.
Didn't
Cool.
didn't know anything about it.
Total surprise. Nice. Well, it is mid-80s. It is not a slasher. So
A slasher it was not.
thank you, Mr. Gently Benevolent. I appreciate that very much.
Is it too early to throw trivia in?
Yeah, go for it. If you
Right,
got trivia, rock out.
Yeah, so this was the second highest grossing horror film of the year, 1985. Behind...
Oh, okay. Oh, gosh darn it. Friday the 13th, part 4?
Oh, no.
1985. Oh, gosh. Nope, brain is dead. Help me out. What is it?
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, of course. The first one, yes. Oh, dear. Yes, of course. That's some good trivia.
Yeah, that popped up because I rented it off of the old Prime.
Oh,
That was the first. That was the first and only bit of trivia that I read on it. So everything else will come from IMDb.
No, that is grand. That is absolutely grand. Well, shall we do our traditional thing? Actually, what we're talking about, Haryan, as is traditional, would you like to give us the 1-paragraph summary of Fright Night for people who haven't done for people who didn't manage to see it? We are going to go full spoilers on here. So if you don't want to be spoiled, drop out now, watch one of my top 10 horrors, and come back so you can enjoy it completely unspoiled. But if you don't mind being spoiled, then, I don't think it's going to ruin the movie for you. I don't think it can, but you won't be watching it afresh, as it were. So,
All right.
Haryan.
So, yes, spoiler alert. So, film starts off with Charlie Brewster, who is obsessed with horrors and horror-hosted TV channels. He realizes while he's getting off with his girlfriend that there's a coffin being moved into the basement next door of a newly moving in. Well, he doesn't know if it's a family or individual or what. Neighbor, I guess I should say. After not too long, he sees through the window, because he's spying on them, that it's actually a vampire who's been taking women in and sucking their blood and presumably making vampires out of them, but you don't actually see them again. So from there, he seems like he's crazy because he's saying to everyone, oh my god, there's a vampire like literally next door to me, which obviously no one believes. Gets the police round, police don't believe him after looking round because the vampire's good at hiding his crimes. He then goes to his favourite horror host, who is called Peter Vincent, which is I got the feeling he was supposed to be a bit like Vincent Price.
Yeah. If I can trivia bomb then.
Yeah.
I disagree with the official trivia on this, because officially, according to the trivia, the horror host's name, Peter Vincent, is a tribute to Peter Cushing and Vincent Price. So massive names in the horror world, especially Vincent Price. I think that's wrong. I disagree with it, because he's presenting a show called Fright Night.
Yeah.
And the original host of Fright Night was called Larry Vincent. I think that's where the reference is from.
Could be all of them, to be honest.
Yeah. I thought when I was doing my research on horror hosts, I found that. So Larry Vincent was hosting from 69 to 74 as the character Sinister Seymour. So, yes, I thought I'd throw that in. So I slightly disagree with the trivia there.
Nice.
Very nice.
Anyway, yes.
Yeah, so he goes to him because he says on his show, I believe he basically makes out that he believes in vampires, but obviously he's basically an actor. So he assumes he's a fan. So he says, oh yeah, of course I believe in vampires. But then when he starts to go crazy, he kind of has to say, look, vampires don't exist. Are you an idiot? So then when after he went a bit more mental, his friends were worried about him, so they paid Peter to go in and spray some fake holy water on him, and they were planning to show him a cross, but his excuse was he's a newborn Christian, so doesn't believe in crosses, can be in the house or something. So they just try holy water, and then Charlie has a crucifix and says, "Oh, touch this then," and Peter says, "Oh no, you've already made a fool of yourself," so takes it off him. From there, as they're going home, after Charlie in a previous scene was attacked by the actual vampire called Jerry, which after watching Rick and Morty, I just can't take the name Jerry seriously. But he's called Jerry, but he is literally the coolest vampire I've seen in my life.
Isn't he? Just...
Yeah. So he starts like stalking the three of them as they walk home because his car gets slashed by the vampire. So like they're walking home after they were just on a night out, weren't they? Can't remember where they were. But yeah, the vampire stalks them, bites his really annoying friend Ed, who then turns into a vampire and ends up attacking Peter in his home. Peter fends him off with a crucifix, luckily. And then you basically get into the big final fight, but I think we'll go into detail on that later. Because I want to go into detail about the noncing as well.
Of all the things to pick up on, okay, that's absolutely fine.
Because
that is great.
I tend to draw comparisons, not comparisons as such, but just when I look at characters, I like to see who they might look like, and in that way I remember them better. So Jerry Dandridge for me was more Mark Ruffalo. So when you talk about the coolness, all I can see is him like virtue signaling all over the world. But Charlie Brewster, I'm sorry, that dude was Crispin Glover.
Mark Ruffalo? You reckon?
Yeah.
I see it. I see it.
Does Mark Ruffalo have fangs?
I mean,
He votes Democrat, so.
All right, good.
Maybe he retracts them.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sorry, Charlie Brewster is Crispin Glover, like a discount version. Mannerisms, voice.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay, hang on. I'm going to try and get you up Charlie Brewster here.
Yep.
All right. I think maybe this is our lad. How's that? Crispin Glover, yeah?
Yes.
Did you have a stand-in for Evil Ed?
That annoying prick.
He looks really, really familiar to me. I don't know why, but he just has I don't know.
He kind of looks like a younger, what's it called, Neil Patrick Harris to me.
Yeah. Could work.
Yeah.
I was thinking more the kid who played what was his name? Problem Child. What was his name in that?
Wait, Macaulay Culkin?
No, that's Home Alone. No, Problem Child was I can't remember the actual kid's name. No, not Buddy. I'm gonna have to look it up. But yeah, I mean, mate, Evil was just
the best thing in the film.
The overacting for me, I thought it was delightful.
Thank you.
Lines have been drawn.
I know he really annoyed me at the beginning, but then as the film went on, he was so delightful.
He had the exact same laugh as a really annoying kid at school. So he was just annoying me.
That grew on me, to be fair.
Oh no.
Right, PH, I'm going to send you.
We are getting some suggestions here.
Okay.
I'm going to send you Junior, Problem Child.
All right.
I'm surprised people don't know this, because I was talking to someone the other day about it, and they were like, "What's this film?" And I'm like, "How do you not know what Problem Child is?"
I've literally never heard of that film in my life.
That is going way back into the early 90s, isn't it?
I mean, it's 1990.
No, well, that's why I don't know. It was before I was born.
Yeah, John Ritter was in it as well.
Aw, that's John Ritter. One memorable Buffy episode in season 2, Ted. So it will be this lad. Yeah. Yeah, I can. It's
kind of.
I don't know.
He's got it. He's just going to get. He's going to get a bit older, and he's going to change his hair up a little bit. But I'm telling you, that little turd It's evil.
It's his teeth, I guess.
Oh yeah.
I mean, how your teeth look better when you've got fake vampire ones in is beyond me. But
Well, mate, I mean, it was better than
He
that
managed
red
it.
rag. It was better than that red ragdoll wig he was wearing in that one scene. It looked like, again, I'm showing my age, but if you remember the children's TV show Rosie and Jim, it looked like he
Yes. God, I
scalped.
remember
that.
It looked like he scalped Rosie and just put that on the top of his head.
Oh my!
Savage.
Mm.
Okay, so I've got that up there. This is from the opening, and I want to ask what you thought of the opening and why they showed us this.
Foreshadowing, isn't it?
Okay, just for a hint, I suggest that the opening is a tad filthy or a tad suggestive of filth.
Oh, what happens in it again? Because
Well, aren't they going to go to? Aren't
They're
they?
nearly gone. Well, they're nearly going to get banged, aren't they?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. I have to ask because I was trying to work out whether this was an whether this was stock footage from an actual movie or if they had just done this. Because I know there's one bit later on where you have they do use stock footage from one of Christopher Lee's Dracula films, but then going back, it then becomes another. Obviously, little mini sort of production for the film, because this, I was trying to work this out at the beginning if this was actually part of a film or what, because I was like, oh my god, this sounds terrible, and then I realized, okay, because it's got Peter Vincent in this scene. But yeah, what was going on? Because she's chatting about getting banged, and then there's this other guy just standing there, just doing nothing, just waiting.
So she was like, oh, your favorite show's on. He looks up and he's like, oh, who cares? Cause he's trying to get his rocks off.
Okay.
But then he looks out the window and he sees the coffin going in, and he just finds it really weird and distracting. So he just gets his binoculars out. And then Amy starts getting undressed and she's like, right, I'm ready for the dick or whatever. But I don't care anymore. Coffin's going next door, much more interesting than the thought. Which I totally agree with.
He wasn't focused on Heathcliff anymore. It was the
yeah, exactly.
Family Show.
So I mean, I'm going to suggest something that whilst keeping this family friendly, we're going to come to a lot. Is Fright Night is all about sexual imagery. It's sexual themes all the way through, because I think a lot of this is about sort of end of childhood innocence. So much of that is throughout this movie, which is kind of why I love it. It's at this sort of it's in this weird liminal space where Charlie is quite childish, and he's just between these sort of the childish world and the adult world, and he's got so much anxiety over it, right? We start with this gorgeous move through a wholesome American suburban street, but it's at nighttime, so it's already a little edgy. And then you're just doing this sort of pervy cam swing up through the bedroom, and you see this, and it kind of looks like it could be not a horror film, but more adult material. You then swing onto them on the bed. It's
that's what I thought it was.
Tone. Yeah.
Before the vampire kid, that's what I thought it was. I thought, what are they watching here?
Yeah, it's very deliberate. So if I mean, it's sort of interesting to know where to approach it. Whether we should talk about the general setup, or if you want to go into the main readings of it. Should we keep on with the setup a bit?
Go on. Yeah.
Okay. So it's an interesting tone. It's set. I think it comes out as an 18 in the UK, but the whole thing is set as this slightly more intense than it should be teenage story. They are, they're in high school. They are being sort of physically intimate with each other, but it's notable that they sort of haven't crossed the line yet. They haven't gone all the way into sort of the fully adult territory, if you get me.
Yeah.
And
They are only 17, so that's probably
She was only 17.
that makes
Unexpected
later scenes
dancing
worse.
Yeah.
all right, see you, Charlie Chieftain. Thanks for dropping by. Always good to see you, man.
Catch you later.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's like it's an interesting premise, isn't it? Like, is this an adult film or is it a children's film? Because you think this guy is basically trying to do the thing of I mean, it could be a Goosebumps story, couldn't it? Like, this high schooler believes like monsters have moved in next door, and he's trying to get people to believe him.
Yeah.
It was definitely very different to like a normal horror film. But that might just be because I'm used to watching like really violent, gory ones, and maybe it's just that I wasn't used to seeing more of a, because in terms of like the violence and stuff, it's a lot less intense.
Yeah, it's got some moments. It definitely gives you a nice payoff, certainly. But yeah, it's not all out. It's not sadistic. It's got this vibe that I would say is a lot like Stranger Things. Did you pick that up?
I mean, you mentioned Goosebumps. I did feel like this film was one Ryan Gosling away from being a Goosebumps film, in terms of just like the almost over the top cheesiness of it all.
Yeah.
Could you
Whether
say
it's
maybe
a good thing or a bad thing? It's
like,
subjective.
Could you say maybe slightly like It?
Yeah, definitely. It's
Did
just in
remind me
terms
of
of that setup of the threat to you as a non-adult child character who's having to take on the adult responsibilities, and it's sort of like it's part of that is like that end of childhood vibe. So he's, his mum, he goes to his mum doesn't believe him. He tries to tell a detective, and the detective is treating him like he's a loon.
It's like he's not quite young enough to like a child, but he's not quite mature enough to be able to handle it by himself.
Yeah, that's it. And that's something that a lot of things tap into that I think makes it very fun viewing. That sort of age where you can be, you can still sort of be half in this sort of magical, fantastical world. You are not sort of tied down to this very sort of materialistic, realistic, cynical worldview. And I think it makes it quite fun to be with that kind of protagonist.
Yeah.
And his as you summarized, Haryan, like his problem throughout a lot of this is convincing people to believe him.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the biggest obstacle, wasn't it?
Yeah, despite everything he'd seen. Yeah.
I think it'll probably get into this a little bit earlier, but I think that's kind of an example in terms of it's very quick to say that it's vampires. I found that quite oddly. I thought he did that quite like too quickly, but then now that we're considering like he's he's quite immature because he's in that in between stage, that's kind of explained for me now. He doesn't quite realize, maybe it sounds a bit silly, him going to people immediately and saying that there's vampires, whereas I think if he were a bit older, he might have held off and explored himself a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, it does show like he's very much, he does try and get support from anyone else. He's not ready to do it himself. And he's also, but yeah, he's a slightly weird character because he does go to that straight away. Whereas I think if you had a more modern protagonist, they'd struggle to go for that as much. They'd need a lot more to persuade them that it's vampires. Queen Boudica Radiant, yeah, absolutely. This movie is amazing, in my opinion. You'll get everyone else's views over the course of this stream. For me, it is a top 10, possibly a top 5. I absolutely adore this. You're going to hear why. So I'll cover this while we're here now as well. Something that stood out to me was there is a bit of dated 80s stuff here in the way that Billy treats Amy in this scene.
Oh yes,
like that stood out to me a little bit. Like he's kind of being a butthole to her, and then she ends up like apologizing for.
If this came out today, there'd be a lot of backlash over that.
Yeah. Which I mean, I think it would be probably deserved in this case. Like Billy is being very pushy here. Amy did nothing wrong. Am I alone in this, guys?
She was acting like a typical woman. No, not necessarily. Well, so he's being pushy, and it's like, oh, it's been a year. Oh, it's like, yeah, all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
But then she goes on the bed to like kind of get ready for that, and then he's just got no interest, and that's what annoyed her. And then she just puffs off without like saying anything. So it's like,
yeah, I mean, he's not a gentleman. She's a real queen, but he's not a gentleman. It's kind of showed like she almost sort of, she takes the top off, and she's like almost like it's a test to him, like, hey, let's go for it.
Yeah.
And it's important here that he fails that test. Like he is distracted. He's not ready to be an adult, right? But I just love her sort of there, just in her bra, just sort of looking so disappointed with him.
But here's the thing.
Go on.
But here's the thing, like, I mean, was she really ready for it as well? I mean, she was turning him back, and so that should have almost been a blessing in disguise. I mean, come on, there was a coffin being dragged across the next door's garden, and he tells her, and instead of being like, oh, thank God, right, I ain't got to worry about his coffin, she could just like take an interest in that, and instead, no, she has a hissy fit, like she's the guy who isn't interested.
Yeah, it's like she thinks that looking out into the pitch black's more interesting than seeing her tits.
And it's really not. But it's really not. It's just, ladies, it really isn't. But the thing is, when something like a potential dead body is being hauled across your next door, that kind of does make that kind of does draw your attention a little bit. Sorry,
but to her, it's just being ridiculous.
What I'm trying to say is just give us 30 seconds. Yeah, and then we're right back with you. Just let's have that little moment.
Yeah. It also, as we said, it did a nice quick introduction of Peter Vincent and his sort of cheesy Fright Night game. So it's a nice. It's quite concise, really. It gets going very quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I didn't expect Peter to be a character in the actual film outside of that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I found his character amazing. I really loved him.
I would say it's quite a hard sell, really, isn't it? The idea of his character, of someone who is quite cynical, but then being convinced to come on board and like really take part here.
Yeah, but the only reason why that was because he had a notice of eviction. What's her face offered him 500 quid basically, and he was like, yeah, okay, I'll do it he was just doing it for the money initially, and then it just so happened by just out of pure chance that he realized that Charlie wasn't blagging. And that's how he became became involved. The first thing he did was pack his bags and try and leave town.
Oh yeah,
it's a wuss.
Yeah,
obviously.
He was the polar opposite to the character that he was playing on these films and movies. He was a vampire killer. He's a stoic, brave man who defends the right. Who stands up for righteousness. And then in reality, he's just what is it? We got a problem calls him a shit sneeveling weasel.
Oh, shit weasel.
Yeah.
That's part of the grown-up theme as well, as like realizing that your idols are not as perfect as you think.
Yeah, there was good. It was quite good in that regard. They do say never meet your idols.
I find it really interesting that sort of the day after that, he's trying to convince Ed, who's on the right there, and I absolutely adore. possibly over-identifying a bit there, but I think I really love Ed. I know he's very over the top in this movie.
Again, sort of going back to Crispin Glover.
Yeah.
Now Friday Part 4, and obviously Crispin Glover's in that. Another thing that this guy sort of reminded me of was the dynamic between Crispin Glover's character in that film and the guy who essentially has the invisible computer. You know what I mean. You must know what I mean. Am I a dead frick? Am I a dead frick?
Oh, yes.
That guy. Just the annoying. He was just so annoying. And the geezer from Part 4, Crispin's friend, it was just as annoying. That stupid laugh. Stupid laugh. Yeah.
You get it in the Friday the 13th ones. Did you notice, by the way? I mean, we've got to talk about it now, but did you notice the sort of joke about Friday the 13th?
Yes, I did catch that about the guy about the guy in the ski mask.
Oh,
slashing down teenagers. Yeah, I did get that, and I was like, they're having a dig, them, aren't they?
That's it. Yeah, it's brilliant. So remember, I mean, this came out in 1985. I probably should have said this at the start. This came out in 1985. It was written and directed by Tom Holland, who's a bit of a ledge.
Spider-Man.
Yes.
I'm not going to say it this week, I always. It is the less lycra clad Tom Holland. This is the one who wrote. Oh gosh, did he write Child's Play and not direct it, or did he direct it and not write it?
I believe he directed Child's Play.
There we go.
I believe he did. Don't hold me to that. Although I will say the musical score for this film was composed by Brad Fiedel, who, if you don't already know, did the music on Terminator, the first one. And in fact, he was brought into this film because Tom Holland was impressed by his work in Terminator the year before.
Well, who wouldn't be? I mean,
it was a brilliant score.
A very consistent score that they keep going to over and over. There's a song called "Come to Me," which is played extensively through this. It's very moody. It's very atmospheric and synthy.
Yeah, it was very, very 80s. It almost didn't fit at some points, but I'm kind of like, it kind of does. It was really odd. It's a bit like Sharp. You know, Sharp's music doesn't sound like it should sound like it's music for a Napoleon era kind of war series, but it kind of becomes iconic with it, and I felt that was the music for this. It didn't feel like it fit with a horror, but it, kind of did. It made itself fit. I don't know.
Sorry, Queen Boudica. Geezer's just a man. Just another word for man.
Yeah, it's just a bloke, just a chap.
You all right, geezer? You all right, mate? You all right, geezer?
You need to start speaking in a more universal English.
I speak the Queen's English, I'll have you know, mate.
Just watch some Peppa Pig. That'll do the job. Right?
Sorry, Americans, it's just good business.
So, talking about sort of clashes, you get this interesting. So, I picked up the scene from the cafeteria. Amy is still mad at him. Evil Ed's mocking him for being a div, because basically, wouldn't you? He's not got his stuff together. And there's this look at these saturated colors. These are really bright, right? And it ends with Amy smushing a burger in his face in this, like, that just feels really kind of like children's TV, right?
Yeah.
Like the burger in the face.
I can imagine 17-year-olds doing that, though. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
That was a waste of a good burger. I was annoyed. Tragic.
But I think the whole point is to contrast that with what comes almost immediately after, which is suddenly, and this is going to be a recurring thing, suddenly Charlie's getting hit with the adult world. So it's not long after that he gets his more definitive proof. Like, he was freaked out by the coffin, but then he sees this.
Free show
And,
of titties.
I had to choose this thumbnail very carefully.
Yeah.
What was the name of that film that Christopher Reeves?
Rear Window.
Superman.
Rear Window. Yes. Rear Window. Was anyone else getting Rear Window vibes during these scenes?
Totally.
Yes.
I've never seen it.
Totally.
I've never seen it either, to be fair.
Okay.
Watch it. Watch the original, but the remake with Christopher Reeves is probably just as good, I'd say. I mean, it's pretty much a shot for shot remake almost, with the exception that Christopher Reeves is using less of his body. But if you remember the episode of The Simpsons where Bart breaks his leg and he has to spend the summer in his bedroom, they parody that.
Oh, it's that right? It's that film.
Yeah. But the original
Sorry.
Jimmy Stewart, Grace Kelly, I don't know. The Christopher Reeves is good, but no Grace Kelly. That costs you a few burgers. But yeah, it's this thing of he's sort of, he's insular, he's in his childhood bedroom, he's and he spies this. I mean, it's the thing that convinces him. It's like
it's
into the adult world again.
I'm sorry, it's another Friday sort of callback I get at this scene as well. I just remembered the excitement in his eyes as he's obviously potentially going to watch some bird take her top off. It reminds me again of Friday the 13th, part 4. Again, Corey Feldman at the lake.
Oh yeah, and part 5, the intro to that. He's a watcher again.
Yeah. Sorry, it wasn't at the lake. Sorry, it was in his house when he's looking out and he can see like the woman through the window, and it's just that same that childish excitement. Like you're sort of getting to that age now where you start to feel things, and he's obviously like at that point. There was similarities between those two scenes. Yeah,
he's looking into the adult world.
Yeah.
And it's what's convincing him about it. So he's getting scared by this. He's seeing this, and he's sort of, oh gosh, the plot and the themes are working here so well together. And he goes to investigate. He takes a bit of action here. He becomes more of a protagonist by taking action, going to investigate what's going on. He's like, where's she gone? So we see this, and at this point, I've been holding off, guys, but I've really got to bring it in. Did you notice how amazingly gay this movie was?
Yeah.
This is the gayest horror film with no actual gays in it. No, Haryan?
I don't see where the gay comes from in this.
How can you not see where the gay go? I mean, look at these two.
That's not gay.
Right.
It's just two bros. They probably hug in bed together like bros.
I'm shocked. Okay, would someone else? I'm going to look something up. I will point out that in this very screenshot, Jerry's friend here is holding a purse.
That's Billy, isn't it? Billy Cole, yeah.
Yeah. And Jerry is holding the apple, a symbol of temptation. All right. I'm gonna look something up for you. Now, in your favor. Oh gosh, am I gonna be able to find it? Talk amongst yourselves. I'm gonna try and find a thing.
I don't understand how this is gay.
You know what was gay?
Innocent?
It
was gay.
Which one?
Gay. First one.
Oh,
okay.
Were there loads of articles saying like Pennywise is a gay icon? And I'm like, he kills kids. What you on about?
Christ, yeah, that was bad. I was like, oh, brilliant.
That's the gay icon that you want. A child murderer.
That is brilliant.
Okay, weird flex, but okay.
That is great PR.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
But yeah, okay.
I agree. The gays are child killers. Thanks, Pink News.
But yeah, how are you not seeing the gayness in this between like, the
I don't-
dynamic. Like,
Don't worry, I'm going to lay it out. I'm going to play just a few minutes of this.
no.
Well, it's gay when you put Ricardo Milos in it, obviously.
No.
Wait for it. This will make the case.
Spoilers incoming. Spoilers incoming.
Oh my god.
Dangerously furry.
Oh, my breast.
That's a rough shot.
You mean it?
Nice.
Are they going to do it? Are they? Are they?
Oh.
Are they?
I like how yeah, it looks
Wait.
bizarre.
Oh, there's something more interesting than a woman.
You want to make love or not?
Amy! Finally find out what you really like. Buzz off, evil.
Oh.
You seen a new guy story?
Nudge, nudge.
No, but I did hear he's got a live-in carpenter. My luck, probably gay.
No, I
Hey.
I might have to be careful here. How much did I cut out? No listening.
See, that's not gay.
Oh my god, yeah, that's...
He's looking at Jerry.
Yeah, he's got fangs out.
Yeah, but you
Oh,
wouldn't
of
if you were
course it's
straight.
the
You wouldn't
thing.
notice that.
No, he's
And
had a
it
good
was
look at the. He's
just-
had a
oh,
good look at
this-
the tits, and now he's like, oh, now there's something else pointy that I want to look at. That was a really weird catch, by the way.
Mm.
I don't know. I've got like 6 minutes of this stuff.
Oh,
Just-
keep...
Wait.
Where
This-
and when do you expect the vampire to attack?
In my bedroom tonight.
Charlie.
In my bedroom tonight. Come on.
No, I'm not having this.
Keep going. I'm loving this.
He's our next door neighbor, Jerry Dandridge.
See, this is the problem with you LGBT. Like, you try and make everything gay.
The gay was already inside him.
Hello,
I didn't have to look hard.
It's not gay. He just looks cool.
Okay. Pause it.
All right, hang on.
What's the significance of Strangers in the Night? Just out of interest.
Strangers in the Night is associated with cruising. So the line is strangers in the night exchanging glances. It's like having to be furtive when you're looking for a late night hookup.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. Yep. Cool.
It gets like
This is
there's-
just a memer in the chat. He's gonna try to suck him dry.
look, he literally comes out the closet. He's hiding in the closet. Haryan, how do you not see this?
Nah, I'm not. I've seen that
Wait.
episode of The Simpsons.
Wait for it. Okay. If you don't like that, look at the framing. You're gonna get some amazing framing here.
Just destroyed your
Oh,
car,
yeah.
Charlie.
Yep.
Haryan,
Yeah.
Nothing compared to what I'm gonna do to you. Tomorrow night.
what he's gonna do to him tomorrow night?
It's gonna kill him.
Curious about what you said last night on TV, you know.
I'm gonna skip this because this was just me highlighting a Friday the 13th joke.
What are we gonna do? This is just like Fright Night.
What happens if you go into that house alone and he gets you? Who's gonna stop him then?
Yeah, then he'll be able to suck his way through the
Oh,
entire
I was
town.
gonna-
Oh God.
I was going to bring that up.
Suck his way through the entire town. Come on, Haryan.
Oh.
Come on.
Shit.
There's
Yeah,
more.
all-
We're just gonna
all-
watch the whole.
Wait,
Harry,
all I
you're, you're losing this, mate. You're losing this.
All I
This
can think of is the end.
is the only thing gay here is Haryan.
And who are these two attractive young people?
Two.
Yeah.
He was
Ed
talking about the
and
woman.
Amy.
He was talking about Amy.
Huh.
Ed and Amy.
Yeah, but that's because he thought Ed was a girl.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Bottoms
Uh-huh,
up.
uh-huh.
Oh, Jesus. Not having this.
Give him blood poison.
There's so much more gay.
Certainly, health crisis. Okay.
Turn into a vampire.
And give you a hickey.
Give you a hickey.
Come on, Haryan.
Yeah.
All right, that's pretty gay.
You don't have to be afraid of me.
That's right.
I know what it's like being different.
Different.
Only they won't pick on
Subtext.
you anymore. Or beat you up. I'll see to that.
Mhm.
And then he spends the rest of the movie getting beaten up.
Do is take my hand. Here, Edward. Take my hand.
Come on, Harry, and look at the symbolism.
The only thing gay in this film is the noncery.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know why he kept so much of this in here.
And
I think I
also,
made
well,
my
to be
point.
fair, no, because it doesn't end here because he's like hugging him, isn't he? And then he's like, whoop, there you go.
Oh,
for God's sake, right, yeah, okay.
This might be a reach.
right.
All right, okay.
And where's
Proper,
that last
you,
one?
you lose, you do lose a point on that one, I must. I'll admit that
Hang
that
on,
one.
where is it?
Tossing off the
That reminded me of
Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Not having that.
Candelabra. Okay, I'm gonna have to stop.
that also reminded me
Oh.
of Billions too.
Oh my God, that was amazing.
Oh.
You can see that on my channel. It's called Fright Night Nothing But Gay Subtext Edition.
I also think that's quite the things that they chose for the subject was quite reflective of the 80s, though.
Yeah.
Especially considering where, like, obviously, the whole AIDS crisis and stuff, and the debate around it. Then, I think it's very reflective of its time.
Yeah, I like how you also had a scene of a man literally about to. Well, I know he's going to bite her neck, but it looks like he's going to shag her. And like, yeah, gay subtext.
It's
Naked
totally
man and
gay
woman together, gay.
subtext.
And
Don't be tricked just because there's a woman in it.
And let's just ignore the scene later where Amy, like, you know, starts kissing him and then starts working her way down him. You know, let's ignore
Yeah, but they
that.
can't have full out gay characters. This is the 80s. If you want to slip that subtext in, it's got to be subtle.
Ugh.
But
Tom
subtle enough
Holland
to where
today.
some people won't get it.
The most subtle one was clearly the tossing off a stranger in the nightclub. That was
Yeah.
See,
that was so subtle.
this is advanced themes. Like, this is high quality symbolism. Noticing here that you only get on this channel. Other people just skip by that completely. But like, I mean, we're talking about the gay subtext here. It's quite fun because this could get you cancelled in a second if you misread it, because it's not that his neighbours are gay and he has to kill the gay monsters. It is not that. It's a lot more about his projections of his internalized homophobia. Basically, Charlie is super gay and super uncomfortable about it.
So you're saying this film's actually really based?
It could be based if you read it a certain way, you know. I mean, you talk about
Man makes it his mission to stake gay men.
I read it as his sort of, if the idea is that it's Charlie is closeted and Jerry and Billy represent his sort of fear of that, his sort of him making it monstrous. You have things like he does put off getting with Amy. Like, yes, the girlfriend is a minor inconvenience in this reading, but notice that his worry is when basically, how can I say, the vampires get Amy and they turn her. And at that point, it's like she is integrated with that gayness. And then he's taking care of the monstrous vision, you know.
All I can think of when you said that is that gay choir who sang "We're Gonna Convert Your Children."
Oh gosh. I phrased this badly. Basically, Amy gets turned into vampire. That means she is gayed up good and proper. But then he deals with the monstrous element of the homosexuality, and then he can chow down. So it may seem a somewhat awkward fit, but the metaphor does hold. It's hard to explain it very quickly on the fly on a stream when you've been up since 5 a.m. But hopefully it made sense.
I am not convinced this is a gay allegory, but
I've got more in the video, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay, I won't push it too hard, but but it's in there. It's in there. In fairness, the actors for Jerry and Billy were completely unaware of the subtext. It slipped by them. So I think it's fairly impressive.
It slipped by me. So
that's how they get you, Haryan. You got to be on the watch out.
Well, I'm actually quite proud of myself for a change, because unlike the Blind Manor stream where I missed every sort of like ghost, I managed to spot a couple of these little subtexts, like the positioning. Yeah, I did pick up a sense of is he, isn't he? Not Charlie, but I was more thinking along the lines of Billy and Jerry. But yeah, coming out of the closet, I did think, I was like, okay. Yeah. I was thinking that at most he'd be bi, because of the fact that, you know, as a vampire, I mean, and he does it in the film, seduces the ladies. It's I don't know, unless they're beards, I don't know, but yeah, I was thinking he's canonically Loki.
Yeah, it's not a straightforward reading. Like you do have to take them as they're a projection of internalized homophobia rather than they're just a gay couple. Because as Haryan says, otherwise it's pretty damn based.
And it's not just women that he takes; it's prostitutes, isn't it? That he's sucking the blood of.
You heard it here, folks. Prostitutes aren't women.
Oh, well, yeah, exactly. Well, they're thoughts. Of course they're not. So are we saying Jerry's actually John D?
Oh, I like it. Well, he does have an appreciation for fine art and fine antiques.
I would have said Billy was John D.
He's very tall.
Given the UO hierarchy there.
That's right. I mean, John D is the boss. I mean, it's an unpopular opinions, maybe an economics show, but I've got a feeling that John D knows a lot more about trade than AA, so he could probably be the host. Very niche joke for people there. But
all I'm saying is he seems to be very mad about kneeling. But maybe there's a subtext there that we're missing.
We're full.
Wink, wink.
It's subtext watch here. Okay.
Back to the bloody film. I've had enough of the gays, right?
Yeah, it's not June anymore. Get out of here, gays. I'll be disowned by my wife for that, I'm sure. Right. We've had the situation where Billy's failed to convince his mother. In fact, she's gone ahead and brought Jerry straight into the house. He's enjoying a very fine cocktail while he's over, and you get that loving sort of scan up his body. You know, how do you miss this? I can't. Anyway,
because he's really cool.
Oh, we're getting a whole Haryan arc here.
I suppressed my gay thoughts throughout this film. That's clearly the only thing that happened.
Haryan doesn't like it that most cool people in the 80s turned out to be gay.
Funny enough, the actor who played Evil Ed in later film career was very much all about the chap-on-chap adult entertainment.
There you go.
Yeah, like the Red Ranger.
What?
Oh dear, we're being accused of making the stream non-family friendly. We gotta write this stream. Got to keep it PG.
No, you just mentioned the Red Ranger. You talk about. Please tell me you're not talking about Power Rangers.
Yeah, I am.
What?
Oh Christ!
You've got some research.
You mean Austin?
To do,
you mean
boy.
Austin St. John?
Really?
You
got to do some research.
I never knew that. Fair play to him.
So,
still my favourite.
Let's pause on a scene I absolutely love before we get a rather iconic sequence. How did you like the scene of? I mean, it's such a turnaround in a plot. Charlie's worried about Jerry Dandridge. He tries to alert. It doesn't work. He comes downstairs. Jerry's in the house. Charity, what did you make of that scene?
It was I liked it, but I ended up I laughed quite a lot, but not because I thought it was bad. I just enjoyed it. Just like he's coming down, he thinks that he's protected himself from these vampires. He's nailed his window shut, and he comes down and just the horror on his face when he just realizes, "No, I'm fucked." Oh, sorry, I've just ruined the family friend. I'm sorry.
We've been talking about staking gay men. I think you're all right.
We've already. It's all right. But yeah,
it's okay. Don't stress about it. We aim for it. It's an aspiration. Yeah, as you say, it's not always aiming for intense horror, is it? It is full of bits that are clearly, I think, meant to be comedy.
I enjoyed that about it though. Like it was quite, for me, it was quite refreshing to watch in terms of the horror that I normally watch.
Yeah. I just, as you say, it's this pivot. Suddenly, he's done all this effort to protect himself, and then there's a guy, and he even says, "Oh, like he's just trolling Charlie, just being like, your mother was so kind to invite me in, so I can just come round anytime I want."
You think I was just going to come in uninvited?
Yes, that's it. That's it exactly.
Yeah, I really like that dialogue.
I mean, he is cool, isn't he? He does dress very well.
But why did you make it out that he was gay?
Well, he's not really gay.
He was in love with a woman, wasn't he? It's just
women are very gay, Haryan.
Michael Barrymore was in love with a woman.
Elton John married, you know.
That's true.
Right.
Is Rory Herbert trying to make us talk about cocktails again after the martini derailment?
Proper fact check.
It's
David Yost, Blue Ranger.
It was a Blue Ranger. More like the Blue Movie Ranger, am I right?
See, I love Billy as well. I love the old school Rangers. Showing my age again.
Yeah. Okay. Any TCG? How did you feel about that wonderful scene of Jerry just smug facing on the sofa and trolling Charlie?
Loved it, but again, well, no, not again because I haven't really touched upon it. The mum is a stupid, ditzy person.
Well, she's not stupid. She doesn't know he's a vampire.
No, not the vampire, but just the type of conversation, just a little, sort of subtle, like, "I'll see ya soon," wink. Like, I can come round whenever I want.
Well, yeah.
With your mother's permission, of course.
Well, she's a single mum, and she's like, "Oh, he's attractive," like,
Yeah, but he's
how's that stupid?
He's got Billy at home. Oh no, I mean, bro, I just.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I just, if all I'm saying is, if I was sitting in my living room and I let someone in, okay, forget that they're a vampire or whatever. I'm sitting there, and this person's like really interested in my child, and they're making really, really sort of just saying subtle little things. Yeah, all I'm saying is that my nonce radar might be beeping a little bit.
See, you're forgetting the rules here, that crime guy, for dating, right? Rule 1, be attractive. Rule 2, don't be unattractive. That's why he got away with it.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
It's just because I've been out of the game so long, I guess. Yeah. I forgot.
Just keep those 2 rules and you can say whatever you want. So, right. Yeah. And the man is like literally a living manifestation of cool. Well, I guess he's undead because he's a vampire. But
yeah, you say he's cool. I say he's Mark Ruffalo. So we're diametrically opposed here.
Mark Ruffalo is very cool, as long as you don't like listen to him.
No, the Hulk is
Just
cool.
put him on mute.
Mark Ruffalo is just the vessel. You
ever see Mark Ruffalo in The Kids Are All Right?
No, but I've seen Ed Norton in The Incredible Hulk, and I thought he was cool in that as well. Because the Hulk is cool. You're getting it mixed up. It's the Hulk. It's the Hulk who's cool.
Speaking of cool stuff, I've chosen this specific frame here for a reason, which is it's a very underappreciated special effects shot that the director pointed out is often missed by people, and I got to be honest, it doesn't really stand out to me either. But you notice here, this is, I think, pretty much the night after Jerry reveals to Charlie he can come in whenever he wants. Sorry, and he doesn't waste any time. He comes in, he starts being a threat, so the threat level does amp up here. But he peruses the mother and then moves on. But he passes this mirror here and casts no reflection.
Yep.
I thought it's really nice, but it's very subtle and it's very easily missed.
Yeah. It's a good thing that they did include that. Obviously, I mean, for consistency, but
very good attention to detail.
Very good attention to detail, because it actually plays a key role in scenes in a later scene. I actually, besides the whole like mum, completely missing the obvious in the previous scene, I actually really liked this scene. The only issue I have, and I'm sure we'll get to it, is the point where after he comes out of the closet, shall we say.
Okay. Well, let's go for that, actually, because I think it's, as well as, there's a cute thing, like he comes out of the room, closes it, makes sure the door is firm, and then whistles strangers in the night. Absolutely. What am I going for next? Okay. I'll skip to the thing that I saved from that scene because I think it's kind of cool, and I'm a bit of a gore hound. Yeah. So
can I just say I did notice that's special effects, but I completely missed all the gay subtext. What is wrong with me?
Don't worry, we all bring something different to the stream. So I also note there's something I really love in this movie that is interesting for us as viewers, but also makes a lot of sense within the story, which is like the weird thing of vampires are creatures of fiction in this. And Charlie actually meeting an actual vampire suddenly is struggling in this weird world of really not knowing what this vampire is going to be like and what's going to work and not work.
Yeah.
And the film does kind of an interesting interplay with what it knows our knowledge is going to be. And it doesn't really give us any sort of like defined expert. They're all sort of winging it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I really liked that.
There's a thing where the vampire hunt is completely different to what the character that he portrays. So I think that it's kind of consistent with that of like, is the vampire going to be different from what we like imagine them to be, and the rules that we've set for them in fiction? Exactly.
Well, there's a line near the end where he basically says, "Oh, these vampires are acting pretty much like they do in the movies," and then he tries something from a movie and it doesn't work, which is quite funny. But yeah, we'll get to that. 'Cause, yeah, these vampires work a bit like they do in the Witcher series, where they'll have a human form, then they'll kind of have this monster form, and they can obviously turn into bats as well. So
can I just say, I actually quite liked that you didn't see the bat transformations. That when he was flying as a bat, it was just a camera.
Well, you see it once in form of a shadow, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I imagine that was just a limited the effects department, to be honest, which is really fine.
But the thing is, this is sort of like, you have your limitations of the time, and that's totally understandable. But I think that gave it more weight than if it was made. Well, actually, this was remade, wasn't it, in 2011? So
and it leaves it up to your imagination a little bit as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that does more.
And that's a large problem, I think, with modern horror films or modern films in general.
Yeah, they just don't. Yeah, they say, we always say show me, but sometimes showing us doesn't need to happen. I think I've said this in an earlier streams. Like there's times when you don't need to show us. We can infer, and we can make a judgment. We can use our imagination to conjure up an image in our mind. And the bat not being displayed because it would have completely taken you out of the of the film if they try to use some sort of stop-start animation or some
Yeah.
weird sort of techno sort of 80s style special effects.
Yeah,
It
I mean,
would-
the issue you get with a lot of special effects like that is just they want you to watch it for too long. And
Yeah.
it'll just be really obvious that it's fake.
Yeah.
Whereas,
Yeah.
if you do this, it's just changing makeup basically.
And actually within this film, there's a good example of that, and that's when they're watching the TV and you've got that Christopher Lee Dracula film on, and he turns into a bat there, and you see him attacking that woman as a bat, and it just looks terrible. Now, that wasn't the case in this film. You didn't see the bat. You didn't need to see the bat. You just knew that he turned into a bat. You could hear the flapping of the wings.
This would not have aged as well had that been a special effect.
Exactly.
Very good call. Now, this is coming out in 1985. 4 years earlier, we've had 2 massive werewolf films. Bonus points for anyone who can name them.
American Werewolf in London.
Nailed it. And bonus for the other one?
Teen Wolf.
Oh, close. Good guess. It's The Howling. It's Joe Dante's The Howling. They came out the same year, and there was kind of a battle of the werewolf transformations, and it's like so much attention is given to them. And yeah, they're pretty darn good. You know, they're quite amazing when you see them. I still think they look good.
Yeah.
But in this one, you see, like, they've already moved on, and as you say, they don't dwell on it. There's in the transformation that Ed does into a wolf later, you do get a kind of nice effect on the hand. But they really don't push it.
No.
They don't stick on it too long.
I've always been a fan of transformation when it comes to werewolves. I've always loved it. American Werewolf in London, Paris, and this film actually, when you see him transform and then turn back later on, longed it out maybe a little bit, but just the whole process, I think that's really putting practical effects to the limit there.
Yes.
I think they did a really good job, and I've always been practical effects over like CGI special effects, that sort of stuff. And,
I mean, this is why it's the golden era, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, this is the era of massive innovation in special effects. You've got Rob Bottin, Dick Smith, Tom Savini, among others. I don't want to leave other people out, but they're knocking out the park. They've got access to better improvements in latex and screen blood and robotics. And it's these robotics and little mechanisms that they're able to use for all these incredible transformations that you just couldn't do before.
Yeah, they're actually saying that. I'm assuming it couldn't have been puppetry, but must have been robotics with the dog or the wolf in that one particular moment. That was quite convincing as well. I almost thought, hold on a minute, you know, and it was. Yeah, I love practical effects. It's why I like films like Halloween, the 2018, the John Carpenter remake, or say the remake. No, the sequel, the direct sequel. Sorry,
yeah.
So Halloween 2, 2018. That's why I like it. Is because one of the conditions for him coming back was that they don't use CGI. It's all practical effects, like it was back when they first started doing it, and that alone just made it, for me, a much better film.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. It's just something about, you're not going into the uncanny valley. You know, something is physical. Like, even if you know it's fake, it's physically there.
And the benefit of it being physically there is that the actor or actress can react to what they're seeing straight away, rather than just looking at some lemon in a green suit with a few tennis balls or a few ping pong balls stuck on his head. They actually can see that image, that effect in real time, and act accordingly to that.
I think that it was more disturbing as well, especially the werewolf scene. That actually ended up disturbing me quite a bit, whereas I don't think it would have done had they used anything other than practical effects.
Yeah, I mean, I'll question why a vampire turns into a werewolf, but
that is classic. That is original Dracula. He does change into a wolf a fair few times We always think of Bat, but I mean, you can understand why they don't do the wolf very often, because you do just think, no, that's a werewolf, right?
Yeah, and
They've sort of cornered the market on that one.
You know, and unlike Zoomers, my mind didn't go to Twilight when I'm thinking of that. I actually went to Underworld.
I forgot Twilight existed until you just said it there. So, you know,
Sorry.
take that. This is Onesie who forgot about it.
Yes, we are concurring here so much. Absolutely. Spritz something up a little bit. Remove a wire. That's fine. I mean, we've been asked to talk about The Thing before, and I'm quite tempted to.
We should.
I think we can manage it.
It's a shame Empire's not here, because I would love to have told him that I watched White Noise again for the first time in a while. But
I've got you had a little haul, didn't you?
I did. I found a charity shop.
Oh, he's gone.
Oh no!
I'm here. I'm just muted. One of my kids are coming. Bear with.
Oh, fair play. Yeah, I mean, you could go in charity shops at the moment. There are so many VHS tapes. They'd pay you to take them away. You could load up on VHS tapes of horror films if you wanted.
I would love to get a VHS player.
Oh, they're epic.
Because I remember, because I born in '99. My parents still had loads of their like cassettes and stuff left, and they're like old videos and stuff. I do remember like watching stuff on them, but obviously as the DVDs came in.
Yeah, it's an experience, isn't it? I find it weird because I've still got, you know, all the old VHSs I had. I do actually have Fright Night on VHS.
Oh wow!
I was wondering if I should bring it, but I don't have any camera hooked up to this computer, so I can't show people and get cool points. Chat, would you think I'm cool if I showed you my Fright Night VHS? Maybe another time. But I've gone for the screen here because I just thought it's also another thing that's very good of the era of 80s horror, which is you've got that creativity, you've got looser censorship, so you can do stuff like this, and you've got so much focus on films having these cute little effects like just the pencil through the hand that's sort of nasty and specific, and,
Sorry about that.
and therefore much more memorable. Like that sticks in my head so much more.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm back now, by the way.
Oh, hey man, hey. We're talking about the glory of 80s horror and its special effects and the memorable effects they do.
Yeah, I just love things like the special effects from 80s films, early 90s, and even late 70s as well. For me, that was sort of the peak, because I mean, it doesn't have to be super realistic. It can you can look at something and think, like, it's fake, but just the fact that it's there, and you know, you know that the other actors can see it, and just you can appreciate the work that goes into making something as simple as like what we're seeing on screen now happen. It's just, you know, I mean, cast your mind back to Shaun of the Dead, for example, when that woman goes, you know, when that zombie goes through the broken like umbrella pole, you know, CGI. Like,
and you
notice it,
yeah.
And it's just, it doesn't carry the same weight for me. But yeah, anyway, going back, I just briefly mentioned I found a charity shop which literally has like a DVD collection which rivals HMV. I'm not joking.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go there. It was like 4 DVDs for £1, and there was a lot of horror films there as well.
Ooh,
so
not bad.
I'm having a look.
Oh, don't tempt me, Frodo. I should probably focus here. Just the guy doing the makeup and visual effects that we've been complimenting is Richard Edlund. And I've got to say, you know, this could be me here, but with no offense intended to the man, it doesn't ring a bell as much, but you know, he's clearly done an incredible job. I'm just going to look him up because he's, oh my goodness, stuff. Right, so I've just looked at what he did. This guy was on for Big Trouble in Little China. He was on for Raiders of the Lost Ark, Poltergeist.
Nice.
Oh, he worked on Empire Strikes Back.
Nice.
Okay, this This is entirely my fault. I should know Richard Edlund's name by I should just be trotting out his name as quickly as I trot out Savini and Rob Bottom. Anyway,
It's
so
just on
another
Google,
thing,
and one of his movies is Electric Boogaloo, so that's quite.
did he actually do it?
That's quite good. That's quite, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
When's part 2 coming out?
Nice.
I'm here all night, ladies and gentlemen. Well, for the next 50 minutes at least, anyway, because we're timed, aren't we?
Beyond the Pale. This is a fine question, and the only answer that I can give for you is The Haunting of Bly Manor and The Haunting of Hill House. Check them out if you haven't seen them already, if you're looking for a good horror TV show.
Yes, Bly Manor is still the best TV show, full stop, I've seen. So
makes me so happy. Makes me so happy. Anyway, so the other thing that's really important about the scene is that what it symbolizes in the story. Charlie has done his prep. He thinks he's secured himself. He's prepared for Jerry to come in. He's nailed the window shut. He's done everything he can. And you just see Jerry come in and yank the window up with no trouble whatsoever.
Yeah.
Just really demonstrating to Charlie he can do nothing. How do you feel about this scene, Haryan? That demonstration of power?
No, it's really good. It raises the stakes of the whole thing. It's like, you try and get him one-on-one. I mean, he's obviously got the drop. Jerry obviously has the drop on Charlie. So obviously it's at a disadvantage with that. But just, he's showing him everything he can do, basically. Just powers to, change form, have these long, sharp nails, just lift up a window with ease with the nails in, because I thought he was going to put him over and start trying to slam it on him, but looks like he's actually trying to push him out.
It's quite an important, vital scene, and it is for a lot of films when you're dealing with enemies like this, and they did it very well because they could have botched it as well. And they didn't.
Because he gets out his crucifix as well, and he's just, at the sight of that, you usually expect vampires to, hiss and get away from it, but he just stops him with his arm, and it's like, oh, his crucifix is not effective, but that's explained later.
Yes.
Which is fine. So and then his mum starts banging on a door, and that's what kind of makes him retreat. Because I thought she was banging on his door.
Yeah, I did.
I was really confused when he just walks out the window. And then it's like, oh, she says her door's stuck. And it's like, oh, he must have, Jerry must have, blocked it or something from the other side. So
I will say it's interesting that what brings this scene to a conclusion is the mum becomes aware. Now, how she didn't wake up when he gets thrown into the wardrobe, first of all, is beyond me, because the amount of noise that happens, and this is my problem with it. It's just the amount of noise. But I mean, regardless, it was one of my favorite scenes in the film. But it was interesting that it was the mum who essentially saved the son's life without even knowing it. Now you've got this character of, essentially I wouldn't say unlimited power, but immense power. Yeah, he could easily just wipe out this home. And and as has already been demonstrated, he's competent enough to clean up after himself. And yet, hearing the mum wake up, he looks at Charlie almost with a sense of fear himself, like what? And he ends up, what do I do now? Obviously, I'm pretty sure it was more of a don't say anything look. But the fact of the matter is the fact that he was even putting himself in that position where he could easily just take her out, take him out, and then he's all the problems are solved. He's like he's scared. That's the only way I can. That's the only way I can. Only way I can put it. He was scared that she would find out, or he was scared to confront her, and so he ended up calling it off and planning to kill him another night. But it just and I don't know. Maybe sorry, I was going to say, and I'm sure there's some sort of subtext or some deeper meaning in that, which I'm sure either yourself or Chloe or Charity could explain for me, because I don't pick these things up.
Is that more of the adult child dynamic of what we talked about before. It's the mother
Possibly.
who stops it.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, I mean, it's no different to like the school bully picking on that smaller kid, and then that kid's mum's comes in and grabs the bully by the ear and pulls him off.
Yeah. Kudos, Charity. That is exactly what I'd have gone for as well. He's still in the child stage, but it's heating up. But yeah, he still is. It's his mum who has to get him out of trouble. It doesn't make all that much sense on the story level. I've got to be honest. There is literally no reason Jerry couldn't have killed them all, disappeared the bodies, and got on. If you can say, oh, it would make his life a bit inconvenient, but I don't know.
It's
more of a symbolic thing that it makes sense.
I mean, it's not only that argument, but you could also. I mean, he clearly likes playing with his prey, because that's why he hypnotizes the women, brings them back, and gets them to strip and things like that. And I was going to say as well, she talks about like, oh, you had a nightmare, we'll have a Valium. So that implied to me that she took one, so that could put her in a be harder to wake her up as well.
No, good point. Yeah.
Yeah, nice catch. Nice catch.
Good spot.
But it's. I think it does amazing well establishing that dynamic of there's this big antagonist, and frankly, your protagonist could have been smacked down and snapped in half in a second. And it was literally just a split second of luck that managed to save him. Not just pure luck, though. A bit of quick thinking that managed to do it. And otherwise, he wouldn't have done it. So it gets attention. You see the power dynamics are there. And you know that this is going to be a proper challenge.
Yeah. I have to admit, I did sort of think to myself after watching that scene, like, how is he going to do this?
Well, at this point, he has done everything that you would he's done it conventionally at this point, right? He's gone to his mum. He's actually brought in a detective to try and to basically trouble them and say, like, I mean, imagine going to a detective, excuse me, my neighbour's a vampire. It goes as well as you would think. So he then has to bring in the big guns, which is where we meet absolute legend Peter Vincent, played by Roddy McDowall, a horror host.
What a weasel.
What a weasel. And yeah, you see him doing the thing where he doesn't think much of Charlie, does he?
No, not at all.
And he's not hugely authentic, You've got this thing where he's happy to ham it up, and then reality when he realizes that Charlie's serious, he's just sort of, oh goodness, he backs out. And he has that wonderful bit of scorn where he, in an almost sort of like tragically romantic sense, this is my pretentious part of the stream, peeps. In a sort of tragic romantic sense, he is he's sort of noting and mourning the sort of change in an era. So he's talking about the horror films that he puts up are of one kind. It's the older kind. It's the Hammer horror style, right? And he's there sort of pointing out that all people want to do is see, bikini-clad women getting hacked up by maniacs in the wood. It's a very clear reference. Yeah, that's it. That's it, exactly, yeah. So it's a very clear sort of scornful reference to the slasher movies at the age. Like, we'll point out, in 1985, when this has come out, we've had 4 Friday the 13th movies already. So it's pretty clear what he's referencing here.
Absolutely. It's almost like the director or writer wants classic horror back, probably because it is better than most of the endless sequels we get these days.
Yeah.
I mean, you're seeing it even now in 1985. There's a change in dynamic in terms of how horrors are being produced, and there's this new there's this new way of doing it, and it's ruffling up the jimmies of the old guard. And to a degree, you see that now. Like even when I talk about it, like I'm the style of horror that's ruffling up, Vincent's jimmies is the kind of horror that I like now, which has been changed, or which has been essentially replaced by, your CGI, uber, super technical graphics in favor of that. And he wants to go even further back,
Yeah.
Maybe this is an example of conservatism progressivism moving at the speed limit, if you will.
I guess so. I mean, it's somewhat ironic, isn't it? Because, he's bemoaning the 80s, which is now for us just sort of regarded as a high point.
Yeah. And we're reminiscing on it with like great nostalgia. And he's like, ugh,
Yeah.
It is so funny to see it, though. I love it. And where was I going? I mean, I think you've heard before that I've said I've got kind of a complex take on this, is that talking in broad generalities, I do think that sort of the 80s is genuinely a bit of a golden age. But I've also said before that I really love what's happening right now in the sort of post 2010s. I'm seeing so much good stuff that is, where it has used CGI, it's not obtrusive, and it's people doing really sort of serious, ambitious horror. But I do think like that 90s to 2000s era is a minefield. It's very risky. Anyway, Peter Vincent here kind of trashes Charlie's childhood dreams, which is quite important. He can't bring in a hero. It's once again, it's that message like he's going to have to be the hero himself. He's going to have to do it himself. But Peter Vincent is actually convinced eventually, when he's just paid off, as Haryan mentioned. He's short of cash, and he accepts the money to come and do a fake vampire test. How do you like this scene, folks?
Introductions to Peter Vincent's character, both in this scene and when Evil, and I keep forgetting the woman's name.
Amy?
Amy, that's it. I mean, just...
I like the kind of dread and nervousness we're made to feel, because we know they're real. No, the other characters don't. So that part of it, in terms of that, I thought it was quite good.
I just haven't. I suppose like the actual interactions moving on, like from the initial introductions, aren't really too much of a problem. But it's the initial introductions that I have a problem with.
Okay.
Like he just rocks up to the studio like there's not going to be any security there that stops him getting in the way. When Amy and Evil first interact with him, they go to his apartment. Like, how do they know where he lives?
I mean, I can see that.
They've got Jerry's phone number.
They might have been able to find it in a phone book, though. I mean, and also this was a local cable channel. This wasn't massive.
Okay, I take back what I said then. I forgot the Yellow Pages was a thing back in the 80s. Okay, no, ignore me and my ignorance. Yeah, okay, other than that, which actually turns out to be perfectly reasonable. I like Pete Vincent's character. Like I said earlier on, he's the polar opposite of the horror host he plays on TV, and I think those, again, it's the whole, never meet your idols scenario where he is just such a disappointment to all of these people. It literally takes money to even get him involved in the first place. Yes, I just didn't. I'm not one of these young people. I've been around since before the internet was a thing. I just
want to say you're older than me.
Yeah. I'm just in that moment. I just thought how dumb. But it's an American. I didn't think Yellow Pages was outside. Well, if anything, I didn't think Yellow Pages was outside of Britain. But I'm happy to be quoted on that one. Yeah.
Of
course they do, because it's Terminator. But like Terminator, you see him like go through the phone book. Yeah, I
Yes, of course.
You see him go through the phone book for the Sir Connors, and do not get me started on my Arnold impression.
That's not bad. I mean, you could turn it into a Randy from Scream impression because he does it. Yeah, Connor. Yes.
I know, yes, I know.
There we go. Scream reference done. Nailed
yes, it. Get in.
All right. I like that he is Peter Vincent is a cynical character. It's kind of funny how camp he is that he just sort of like turns on a dime. Like the second money's involved. He's like, oh, actually, yeah.
I love that bit. But when she's like, I've got £500 in like a savings bond or something, he's like, yes.
It keeps it light as it's heavy and dark in places, but it also remembers to keep it light at some time, so it's not depressing.
Yeah,
you know, it's things like that really work. Can we have a get to the chopper, please?
Okay, get to the chopper.
Eyes to see you.
Killian, I'll be back.
Oh gosh darn it, we got derailed by Arnie posting again.
Bloody Arnold.
Okay, so yeah, he turns on a dime. I kind of like that he also goes on his journey. Like, he is a cynical person. Like, he has his own arc, which I like that it's quite a message of hope, because this whole film is talking about ditching cynicism. And even if you're a bit cringe, if the thing you're passionate about is nerdy horror films, go for it and you can be cool and get the girl. I don't know why I like that message, but
well, yeah,
it's nice. It's something positive.
With Peter's arc, I was just thinking, why couldn't Luke Skywalker have this in the sequels? It made me sad.
Peter Vincent's the real Luke Skywalker. Changed my mind.
Exactly.
I tell you what, I hope you don't mind if it's sort of skipping ahead a little bit, but what I really, really liked about this film is the ending, in terms of like how the day was saved, because obviously you're going through the film as the protagonist as being Charlie, but it's not him who saves the day.
No,
it's Peter.
It is
completing his character arc of actually becoming the man that he portrays.
Yeah,
and I think that was I actually appreciated that it was and again,
I like that he didn't die. I like that he didn't die saving the others, because I was convinced during that he would.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I thought, and again, that pleasantly surprised me, because I figured that if anyone was going to die, it was going to be him.
Yeah.
And I had a feeling that I keep calling him Evil, but yeah, no, Evil Ed. I figured that he would have bit the dust as well. But I thought Peter Vincent definitely was on the chopping block, and I was pleasantly surprised that he wasn't, because I felt like his character arc was completed. That was the right way to do it, you know.
Yeah. He could have easily been killed, but as you say, he gets that little bit more of a character arc as well.
Yeah,
like it's not just that he starts to believe in himself and he drops his cynicism and he does something that he can actually be proud of, because you get the feeling like he's not really proud of what he does. He's kind of like a cowardly guy. He lives in the past. He's in debt and he's just in sort of a denial, and he really just comes to like grow past that and believe in, and it's so lovely. It's so positive.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. He portrays himself to others as this person who's got it all. Like, he turns around to Amy and Evil in his apartment, you know, like, oh, I've got this big job coming up in Hollywood. Hollywood calls, you know, it's called for me. It's like, no, they haven't, mate. No, they haven't. You know, he literally had nothing to show for it. His show got cancelled. He was getting booted out of his apartment. You know, being a weasel just didn't get him anywhere in life. And now, you know, he managed to, you know, essentially find his calling in later on in the film. And actually, when he actually sort of abandoned those Weasley ways, you see he gets his show back. He's he like you say, he believes in himself now. Like the character he now portrays is automatically more authentic because he has become that person.
Yeah,
In a way, I was
he's
more
gone through
invested
that
in him.
journey. He's had to have his own fight, and at this point, the cost. I mean, it's quite well done because realistically, like, he's wearing his costume for a brief effect, but at this point, it's actually it's not a costume for him anymore. That's who he is.
Yeah,
that's now become authentic. He's not LARPing anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We can talk about that actually, but there's only one thing I wanted to bring up before we actually get into the finale, really, because it's quite straightforward. It's basically things get taken away, whether it's Ed, whether it's Amy, and it really just leaves, it makes it very clear it's down to Peter and Charlie who have to do it. But there's one sequence that I really wanted to bring up before we get to that, because it's just so darn iconic. And you can probably guess what it is.
The seduction scene?
It's the seduction scene.
Right.
With that beautiful song, Come to Me, playing. Yeah. It's a bit sultry, guys. It's a little bit saucy.
I'm getting the word nonce.
Well,
here we go.
Haryan's nonce mode
Claire here has asked about Evil Ed's post Fright Night career. I have, yes. I'm not going to name particular entries in it, but this is a family stream. Yeah, I figure I should actually raise this, since Haryan, the first thing I saw you comment on here was, it's a bit noncy.
Yeah, I literally just said it's a bit noncy, this film.
Would you like to discuss the NQ?
You mean this scene?
Well, just the whole
just why it's noncy,
the noncing
right?
issues. Go on.
Well, okay, so the reason he's seducing Amy here is because Amy is the spitting image of kind of the love of his life. Which, do we ever establish how old that picture was? It looked at least centuries old.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're going for. They were building in, so you don't know how old he is, but you get the feeling like this isn't an antique he picked up. He's had this for ages. This is original.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously he's missed her after so many years, because I can only imagine she wasn't a vampire, or maybe she wasn't got killed. You don't know how she dies anyway. So yeah, he hypnotizes Amy in the nightclub, and it's just. I mean, he starts dancing seductively with her. He starts putting his hand literally down her skirt, doesn't he? At one point, on her inner thigh. She turns around, still hypnotized. They kiss, and then she starts kissing further down his body, and she's on her knees, and it's like, luckily she gets back up before she's down there for too long. and she's still hypnotized because she sees the mirror and she sees that he doesn't cast a reflection.
Oh
and it doesn't break the spell of her at all. So, but then he kidnaps her and takes her back to his shag palace, I guess. I mean, also it's implied that he undressed her and put her in that dress,
and then undressed her again.
It's like, and then she starts taking it off. It's like, but he's already he must have already seen you. It's it's a bit crazy.
It could have been Billy. Could have been Billy. He seems to be the lackey.
True, it could have been Billy as well.
Yeah.
If you want me to make it worse, I can add some official lore from Fright Night.
Do it.
Go on.
So canonically, this is from the Fright Night comic, which was produced as an adaptation, I think, bridging the first and second films. One of the things Amy gets as a vampire is magic vampire boobs.
Oh, wow.
AKA the most common superpower. So,
what do magic boobs do?
Elvira?
They're just kind of there being...
They're just there? What makes them different to normal boobs?
They were, basically.
To be fair,
Yeah.
Harry, and boobs are pretty magical.
Oh, of course. I'm a big appreciator of, big boulders. So, but yeah,
Yeah, she levels up in boob as a result of being turned. That is official canon.
Was it like a Mafia City
Amazing.
moment? Level 1 boob.
amazing.
Hey! Level 99 boobs.
Oh, dear.
They cut that out of Twilight. Edward Cullen should have been at least an E cup, I think. Lazy, frankly. That's why you just can't believe that we're losing a chat on this one.
Sorry, Mima.
All right. Yeah, so it is a little awkward, to be fair. I mean, vampires, in fairness, are
Trip down memory lane.
Oh, well done, Crow Minion. Well done, sir.
Brilliant.
I appreciated that. I appreciate that very much. Not fangs for the memories.
Hey.
Shocking. Shocking. So, in fairness, in vampire lore, typically the vampires are representing a sort of dangerous sexuality. That is something they're always known for. They are licentious. They are boundary pushing, which is what he's doing here. It's that mix of, because she's canonically here, she's 17, she's on the edge. It is that very awkward liminal space. But frankly, this is a family stream, and we're just going to disavow.
Yeah, there's no way Romeo and Juliet laws are in place here. He's over 200 years old.
It's creepy, it's disturbing, it's weird, but luckily here we have what is affectionately known as Dawson's Creek casting, and not, say, Netflix Cuties casting.
I'll get you.
Right, I'm gonna have to hunt some nonsense down after this. I
need to get me wood chipper out, honestly.
Yeah, exactly.
Roll up a copy of The Sun for the Bugle and summon the hounds. We're going on a non-stop, boys. All right. But that basically, I just want to bring that up because the dance scene, the seduction scene is iconic. It wouldn't be what it is without that amazing music. And Amanda Bierce, who plays Amy there, I think she does such a good job because she's, she starts off, she's this beautiful, like kind of shy girl next door, but she's got her own way of being assertive. And then she gets to bring out this sort of more sexual character in that you just don't see coming from her. People are really struggling with the magic vampire boobs.
We need to know what the powers are.
It's canon.
I mean, besides being magical boobs, are they like huge?
You can make them jiggle.
I'm not going to do it on stream. If I can find the stills from the comic that may elaborate, I'll try and post them on Twitter. Oh, that's the wrong image, isn't it?
Oh no, they're not magical boobs.
I've done messed up. Yep, okay. Sorry, folks.
They're magical dudes. Hey.
I got the wrong half of it. Like, let's talk about the wonderful bit in the finale. Some of that wonderful stuff. Here we go.
Yes, I rather enjoyed the finale.
Yeah, I showed quickly. Like, they effectively have no choice but to go and confront Jerry and Billy, go into the lion's den and rescue Amy. Now, like, this is a classic scenario. It's been built up throughout this film. You've noticed just like Charlie can't protect himself. He's not safe in his house thanks to his mother. And then in what I think is like quite a daring scene, just prove that in a crowded disco, Jerry can just come in and mess with him, and he can do literally nothing about it.
Again, anyone getting Terminator vibes?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Was Terminator out before this?
1984. So yeah, a year before.
Ah.
Hence why Brad Fiedel was on did the musical score on this. As I
Oh,
mentioned,
of course,
Tom Holland was like,
Cool.
"You did a good job on Terminator. Come and work on this film."
Yeah, good call. I mean, maybe there was an inspiration here, but it's so good at raising the stakes and challenging you. Like normally, your vampire would have been off in the castle, but very briefly coming out. In this one, he is a lot more brazen. So he's still kind of traditional. He comes out at night, but it's a little more brazen in the modern era. But they go for that confrontation, and here, of course, you have the knowledge of the vampire, the understanding put to the test. I love this scene. I think it's so important. Like Peter Vincent has puffed himself up and brings out that crucifix. Doesn't do the job, does it?
Hardly. Melts
What
like
do
a
we
chocolate bar.
You have to have faith for that to work on me.
Absolutely.
Why though? I don't know. I guess it's because he's head vampire.
And then, I was going to say because that must be the case because he does pull out a cross to evil, and it works straight away. So it must be like, it must be the whole faith thing specifically to him. Because if it's the case with, because it's never demonstrated that it happens to any other vampires.
He's just leveled up too much. That's it.
Because I mean, as we mentioned, obviously you got evil who turns into a vampire who becomes even more annoying, if you can believe it. And also Amy, for those who don't know, Amy also becomes a vampire. So in the scene, just go back, he seduces her, and he bites her, turns her into a vampire, and then she's all like kookalulu as well. But going back to this one, you don't see the crosses. It's not established whether you have to have faith with all vampires. It's just this one in particular.
I would criticize it for that it is a bit inconsistent. I don't think you can differentiate why works on evil.
You can argue because if he's like the original, or like Charity said, because he's more leveled up, more natural, more closer to the original. If not the original, then there are certain, like for example, like Blade 3, the original Dracula, was a daywalker. The sun didn't bother him. It was a genetic mutation that caused all the other vampires to be averse to light. So
it probably sounds silly, but maybe he's built up like a tolerance to it, whereas evil wasn't, and he was more obviously more scared because he's literally only just been turned.
Well, there's a potential argument here. I don't know if I believe this, but I'm just trying to sort of avoid a plot hole in the film that I love. Is it possible that actually the reason it works on evil is because evil doesn't know what the rules are, and evil believes in it?
Oh yeah.
It's quite a reach, guys. It's quite a reach, but I'm making it. So
placebo effect.
Yeah, could be. Or possibly just when evil is attacking Peter Vincent, it's some kind of sincere panic from him where he's sort of, he wouldn't do it normally, but in the desperation he prays.
But the cross gets burned. Yeah, but the cross gets burned on his forehead. So it's not like he panics. It actually has a physical, demonstrable effect on him.
I think we might have to say this is something of a plot hole then.
I don't necessarily think so. Okay. I don't think so, because
we can go with the leveled up theory.
Just because it does. I would go with the leveling up theory because it does stick quite true to the vampire lore in that respect. And I say there in some lore there are vampires who, like, if you are the original, which you could infer that he is, then there are certain things that don't really apply.
What's the plot hole?
You could say it's open to interpretation.
Yeah. So the plot hole. Sorry, we're just exploring. When Vincent Price tries to use this cross.
Peter Vincent.
Sorry. Peter Vincent uses the cross. It doesn't work on Jerry here, but earlier on in the film, he uses it. He uses it on evil, and it works.
Oh well,
In
yeah.
fact,
Well, as I said, that's probably because he's the head vampire, or hasn't been around for 200 years.
That's what we're saying, because we're arguing whether it was not arguing, but discussing whether it was a plot hole or not. And I'm saying I don't think it really is a plot hole because of existing vampire lore, which they do lean on in this film.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. Rules don't have to be like explicitly stated, and this is just an inferred one.
Yeah,
so, of course, it's going to be more powerful. He's been around longer.
Yeah. Again, it goes back to what I was saying, I think, back in Butterfly Kisses. Some things don't need to be shown or demonstrated. You can just infer. And I think it's okay to infer.
And this film makes wonderful use of that deliberate lack of clarity. Yeah. It's a source of fear, like knowing what's in the films, but not knowing if it'll work.
Yeah,
but for me, we get. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and it just brings into question whether other things would work, like the garlic, like a stake in the heart. Yeah. If you have now extra conditions that you need to fulfill for the crosses, what else am I going to have to do? Do I have to, what am I going to have to do to the garlic to make it work? What am I going to have to do to the stake to make it work? It does bring in all these extra questions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as I say, they
in a good way. In a good way, because it adds to the mystique of Jerry.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I've not got a problem with this. I mean, Witcher has similar rules for their vampires. There's about 100 different types of vampires in the Witcher universe. So.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah.
Nice. We get from this something. I love Tom Holland's writing here. We get a wonderful little dynamic. You get the setup of Peter Vincent comes in a bit too cocky. Maybe his faith game isn't up there, and he's, his crucifix is bent and he's dismissed.
Yeah.
But then Charlie, who's actually been the believer, who has a confidence in the authenticity, his cross works.
Yes.
And that has a symbolic power. And that is such a turnaround. That is such a great message. That belief is necessary to defeat your demons. And that gets a 180 on it, because then we get a cold, hard reality of Billy just comes up and clocks him.
Yeah.
And it's just such a brilliant, punch, counter punch, cross hook.
Yeah. Can we talk about Billy?
Yeah, go for it.
So, in particular, sort of how his storyline ends.
Yeah.
Yes. So he's at the stairs, isn't he? And Peter Vincent, and he sort of says to him, in fact, I've got the quote here. Bear with me. Where are we? I will find it. Here we go. Yeah. So Billy Cole. Oh well, what do we have here? Vampire killers. And then Billy starts to climb up the stairs, and then Peter actually pulls out his gun. And then Peter's like, stop, or I'll shoot. And then Billy keeps going. Peter's like, I'm warning you, don't force me to shoot. Keeps going. And then, Peter ends up just shooting him point blank in the head. And then they sort of turn around, and as they're going to go back up the stairs, Billy gets back up.
Yeah.
So you find out at that moment he's not actually human.
I mean, that's a good thing about what you said earlier about, no, they don't clarify the rules. Billy is weird and Billy is creepy and scary. Yeah. And you never actually find out what's going on there.
No.
The film is not ruined by this. You just, you're in a weird realm here.
Yeah, because at first I thought it was just like a familiar to him, but then it's almost like he's an artificial human.
Yeah.
Or zombie or something, yeah.
Yeah.
So does he actually say anything throughout the film?
Yeah, he does
remember.
Talk. Yeah, he talks. He talks. Yeah. In fact, he actually interacts with Charlie first.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he does.
When he's going to go into the basement. When he's going to go into that basement area. But yeah, obviously they unload they unload on him, and that doesn't do anything. But then the stake in the art does. And again, going back to practical effects over good old CGI. Now compare it. What was better, this particular death or Blade, the first one?
Oh, what in the boss death?
Yeah.
I'm giving the win to Fright Night here.
It's hands down. Like a prime example of not needing CGI or any sort of like computer graphics. This was just again practical effects taken to the absolute limit. It was gory. It was fun. It was like, what on earth is it? Like, you didn't know if he was going to die or if he was going to mutate into something worse. That was the thing, because you didn't even know that he wasn't human. Up until like 30 seconds ago, you just thought he was a regular guy, and then you think, oh god, what's going on? And then he dies.
There's something I'll actually point out here, because we should probably talk about it briefly in the sort of, we've got about 10 minutes left. If we may. All right, we're probably going to overrun. We're probably going to overrun. I want to point out here, something you notice here is like, it's a real gamble what's actually going to happen to vampires when they die. Because the thing that we all basically expect them to do now, because of Blade, because of Buffy, is we expect them to turn into dust and disappear.
Yeah.
And in this one, obviously, a lot happens to Jerry. He's transforming, but he does actually sort of decay and turn into dust, which is quite satisfying to me. Well, he kind of explodes as well, but because it's very 80s.
And turns the window into a Hoover.
Yeah. I find it very weird when I watch older vampire stuff and the vampire doesn't explode. It's very weird for me,
It just, the deaths in this of the supernatural beings, it almost felt like the department had, we've made like 3 models, let's destroy them in 3 different ways and just record it. It's just like, all right, I'm up for that.
Yeah, they did the old just so I'm remembering correctly, like, did they do the classic 80s explode from multiple angles thing?
I think they might have done, Yeah.
I love it. God, I love it. Was that weird for you, Charities, like seeing some of like the 80s editing when you'll just get all this angle coverage? Just
the only thing that made me feel a bit weird was when he jumps through the glass. That same shot, I'm pretty sure they played the same shot twice.
Yeah,
or maybe I'm just being stupid. But
no, they did it a lot. It's like if they'll have got multiple cameras on it, and it's like, gosh darn it, I'm going to use that shot.
Yeah.
Something we may skip over a bit is like the fight with Evil Ed, because Charity, you brought that up, and
it was actually disturbing. Like when he's transformed, when he's like, when he's like, and then like with the stake and stuff, and I was like half of it, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Evil like trying? I think Evil's kind of trying to trick him, because I think he looks into his eyes and like is like making like noises like I'm really in pain, and I'm the whole time I'm thinking, do not put your hand anywhere near him. Do not give in to that.
Yeah, I could go with that, but also I felt bad for him. Like, Evil is not a big mastermind, and like I really believe he's in pain there. It's quite the way he sort of like, he's in a more like regular dog form, and that like is still impaled and it drags itself along. I felt awful for the poor thing. Like the fact that they used a realistic dog to sort of drag itself along before it does more of a transformation. I thought, it made me feel very sympathetic towards it. You know?
Do we know why he turns into a dog instead of a bat? That's one thing that got me. I mean, I'll just say, if we don't know why, we don't know why. That's fine, but
we don't. I mean, we could speculate. Evil is the one who gets to do a bit more of a physical transformation, so it's very possible that this was just a studio saying, "We can do a werewolf transformation. Give us a bit of that." It was big in the other stuff, so go for it. So it could be that. It could just be for variety, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
but we don't know for certain, I think.
Yeah, just wondering why. Just I didn't have a line or anything. Just cool. He's a wolf now.
Yeah, but of course it is this that is the impetus for Peter Vincent to get his faith back and to rally and believe himself, and then, as you said, that crime guy to save the day and come back in, guns are blazing. Look at them.
I love how obviously like a stiff model of the dog was when it fell into the chandelier.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look at this though. The bloody stake, the cross. I did. He's holding it high usually and looking a bit based. I I'm sad I didn't have that frame, but I wanted a better bit of lighting on Peter Vincent.
This is
But
what
it's-
I look like when I'm looking for nonces.
Oh no. But yeah, so this is great transformation of coming through, being proud, owning it, believing in yourself, and taking your demons down that way. And you'll notice the final thing to finish off Jerry, it's sunlight.
Yes.
Basically, it's bringing your fears into the light and facing them openly. That's how you finally defeat them. This is good symbolism.
Well, Charlie's being chased by what's she called, Amy. The makeup on her face was great.
Yeah,
a really wide mouth.
She also did actually have prop boobs, I believe. Like the larger vampire boobs were actually a special effect.
Just get a boob.
Oh Christ! Like a big bus fight. Oh, that must have been horrible to move around, to do all that running around in.
Yep, I think so. That is dedication to the craft. But yeah, it's a little weird. I don't particularly like the transformed Amy at the end, to be honest. But I think it's like you've kind of had enough at that point. But I do like the way that Amanda Bierce plays this very transformed Amy. I think she's absolutely wonderful in this film. I love her. But yeah, they have that victory, and then we have got our happy ending.
Yeah, because Amy survives, and
she survives, and they're together.
Yeah, and Peter's got his show back. It's come full circle.
It has. In fact, you even repeat the tracking shot into the house, don't you?
Yeah.
Yep.
Good on you. He earned it.
The ending was interesting.
Yeah.
It kind of implies that evil survived.
Yes. There was talk of doing something with that, but I gather they did not go anywhere, and there was talk even of like doing maybe a more modern reboot to sort of get it going again and have the idea that Ed is still staying in that house. Right. But I don't think they've done anything with it. They did make a sequel, but it went in a different direction. I haven't actually watched it, so I cannot comment. I gather it's more comical. I would be tempted. But as you say, you've come full circle, but they've gone through quite a big change. Peter's had an arc. He's done that wonderful thing where he's giving horror a rest. Disavow, obviously. But you get that beautiful, like, isn't that right, Charlie?
Yeah, I love that.
That was so good. I loved it.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Wholesome.
Very wholesome. Everyone's grown and everyone's learned something. Isn't that wonderful?
It is wonderful. Unironically, actually, it is. It's nice to actually see, like, it did feel quite complete in that sense. There wasn't. It didn't feel like there were any loose ends.
Yeah, and he's
apart from Evil Ed.
Well, apart from him, but again, like it's no different to the end ?
Yeah, it's I mean, you may have noticed, for anyone who has seen my music video called Double Feature Horror Show, you'll notice I closed that video on this little footage of Peter Vincent winking and this image here because I absolutely love it. I think it's adorable for a film that goes into like some fairly dark places and some violent places. It closes in a very sort of kind of like good-natured, loving way with, as you say, that little bit of spice with it, that little bit of pepper at the end. So at the end of Fright Night, I would like people in the chat. I want to start seeing your scores. We use an out of 12 burgers scale because, once again, I've come up with nothing different. So scores in the chat, please, folks. I want it out of 12. And I would like to just sort of go around the panel and get some scores and closing thoughts. Is anyone wanting to go first?
Go on, Haryan.
Well, I need to know what proper horror show's guess is first.
No. That's not how. That's not how it works.
Why not? Oh, I thought we'd do it that way around. All right.
Oh, hang on. Okay, right. So you had. Oh, what was your guess? Oh, yeah, it was. No, wrong. No, don't you?
I tell if it was. I tell if it was right.
No, I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
Why would I lie?
To ruin me, to savage my reputation as the hostess of the best Tuesday night horror stream in the UK.
Here I am hunting nonsense for you, and you have the audacity to say I lie.
all I'm saying, Haryan, is I know what the score is that she predicted. So
fine. So I will give you my score then. So this film had a very coherent plot. There were parts in the plot that I really liked as well. Special effects were a bit lacking. Music I thought was a bit odd at first, but then ended up actually being pretty good and quite iconic to the film as well. Some things are left unexplained. That works in some regards, not so well in others. So I'm going to give the film a 9 out of 12 burgers.
Get in.
Nailed it.
Nailed
With
it.
Cheese.
Yes.
Because it had comedy bits in as well, yeah.
Oh,
there you go.
Yep. 100% accurate.
There you go. You got on your first go. You got it right.
There you go.
Actually, I messaged that crime guy yesterday just before 9 with my prediction. BTW prediction for Haryan's score is 9 out of 12. Big cheese. Anything less than 8 out of 12 invites huge bullying.
Had a see.
So no bullying for you today.
Well done. I love that. Yeah, great summary. I mean, I think if we could have been on the plot a lot longer, but it's just it doesn't waste your time. It gets straight into it.
It was pretty simple.
It's a very quick film.
Yeah.
Or it feels quick. It's probably quite average run time, but it's very pacing wise.
102 minutes. 102 minutes.
Yeah, well, they kind of linger on kind of when he's a wolf and transforming, and I thought the scene in the nightclub was suspiciously long.
It's
for a non-scene.
What can I say is that I sort of need a term for, like, you know, when films have a scene that they're just known for that realistically you could just completely cut out. It's a total indulgence, but that scene is iconic. It's like that. I suppose, and you could probably say like some of the stuff in Army of Darkness, in the Windmill, the Three Stooges sections are like that. I don't think those are as good as this, but it's that kind of thing. It's just iconic, and it adds so much flavour because this is going beyond being like nuts and bolts film, and it's having these wonderful bits of character to it that you're going to remember. Charity, would you like to give your score and your verdict, please?
Yes, I would like. I really enjoyed it. Probably a 9 or a 10, actually. Maybe 9.5 out of 10, out of 12.
Nice.
With cheese to the power of 2.
Yes.
Double
There's
cheese
loads
burger.
of cheese in this.
Yeah.
Loads of cheese. Oh, lovely. I'm so pleased to hear that because, you know,
it was really refreshing. Like it was really good. And like I don't watch a ton of like 80s films, and I really, really enjoyed it.
Oh, makes me so happy. And you get those big Stranger Things vibes from it, don't you, as well?
Stranger Things is. To a lesser extent, like, because I watched Fear Street 1994.
Oh yeah,
little bit like that, but not as much. I found.
Yeah. Oh, nice. I watched Fear Street. I have some big thoughts on it, but I might have to do a separate stream on that. That crime guy. Let's have your scores and thoughts, sir.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I echo a lot of the sentiments that Haryan and Charity have already mentioned. This film was not what I expected in the slightest. I was quite taken aback by sort of like the tone, the pace, the theme. But regardless, I really enjoyed it. I've even had my mind changed on a couple of things that I had issues with, which was nice. Just to add to it, though, I did like being reminded of Crispin Glover. I did like being reminded of Friday the 13th. I did like being reminded of Terminator. So that all helps. Now, in terms of my score, this would have been a 10 out of 12 with cheese. But one cheeseburger got ruined in the making of this film. So for that, you're going to get a 9 out of 12 with cheese.
It was sacrificed in the lunchroom.
Yeah.
Oh dear. If only they hadn't. I think that's a fair score. I'm very happy with that.
Absolute Haryan burger.
Yeah, that sounds like it's fully in the realm of, how can I say? It's one you're happy to recommend to people, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, easily.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So
you could even say it's quite a good introduction film that we were talking about last week.
I was thinking that, yeah.
This would be a good introduction because it wasn't that scary, but it was a horror film.
Yeah, it's got moments of big tension. Yeah, it's not particularly sadistic either, which I think sadism puts people off horror films a bit.
Yeah, and I think given what the other sort of horror films that were around this time that Fright Night was competing against, like I say, your Nightmare on Elm Streets, your Friday the 13th, things like your Hellraiser would have been around about this time as well.
Hellraiser was coming in a little later, but Halloween was going.
Halloween, of course, yeah.
Burning had come and gone,
Yeah, so you've got all these films, really dark films, and then you've got a film like this, and like I say at the beginning of the stream, this this grows second in terms of horror films for that year. So it obviously did something right. It was quite niche in that regard.
Absolutely,
very good.
Yeah, well, that makes me so happy to hear that. We've overrun a bit, but frankly, as a lot of that was just praise for a film I absolutely love, I am very happy about it. I think you nailed it. There is a solid plot here. It's not straightforward. There's back and forth. So you're not just like, you happen to just meet the character who will do exactly what you need them to. No, the characters have complexities. You could literally just reframe. I think you could reframe this movie around pretty much everyone except maybe Evil Ed and maybe Billy, because their motivations are super clear. And this is just absolutely infused throughout with a love for horror. And that makes it sort of very meta for me, that I love it so much that it's sort of an unashamed horror nerd getting to be a bit of a hero. And of course, the fabulous gay subtext with no gays.
Oh my god, that video was brilliant.
Yeah, if you want to see the fuller analysis and me not garbling the explanation, I have a serious video on this called Fright Night, and the one that everyone actually wants to watch, which is just the 6-minute gay subtext only edition.
Yeah, I will say Zack Snyder could learn a thing or two about editing by watching this film.
Very coherent, wasn't it?
And it didn't need to be all over the place. Didn't need too many long shots, slow motions.
Zoom ins on sesame seeds,
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
All right, thanks. So as for a score, I'm very biased in this movie. This is a 10 or an 11 for me. I would recommend it freely. I would praise it. I feel I could show this to pretty much anyone. There's so much in there. There's a wonderful theme seasoning the plot, and it just gives me a good warm feeling when I watch it. So it's probably a 10 or 11, and there's cheese and pickles all over this bad boy.
Nice.
It's one dirty burger.
Oh, very dirty burger. This is going to swap out and mess up your top, but you're still going to have a good time. So, I really shouldn't let my mouth run on these, should I? should just filter a tiny bit. Anyway, we've got scores given out, and that is pretty much the end of the stream. However, if you have stuck around for this bit, you deserve a bit of a treat. You're the loyal crew at the end of the stream. You get to hear about the horror homework first.
Get in.
And the horror homework for next week is a little known film called Fright Night, 2011,
No.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh man.
Next week, we are doing the remake. This is something I thought would be fun to do and also possibly a disaster because is it going to be weird talking about the same plot effectively? Well, I don't know. I haven't seen the remake, but we are going to be looking at what it means to do this remake of a film that I think is very much of its time so far apart. See what it was that a modern remake wants to focus on. What does it get wrong? What does it get right? And we're also going to use it as, I believe, as a way to start talking about one of the major changes in recent horror history. We're going to be talking about the Platinum Dunes era.
Okay.
And if that makes no sense to you whatsoever, if you're wondering what the heck is Platinum Dunes Wave, definitely watch next week's stream. It will all make sense. And I believe we have the pleasure of Charity Rivers coming back.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah, that would be popular.
Nice. I booked you. This is the second time I've tried to like book someone 2 weeks in a row.
I've heard David Tennant's in the remake, so you know what?
He is.
I'm delighted about that.
I watched some of the clips of it before with him in because he's like one of my favorite actors, and I quite like the look of it.
David Tennant is
it's
an
very
absolute
different.
boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
nice. It's David Tennant's Colin Farrell. I'm going to be honest, guys. I know very little about it. I think it's kind of heresy. Richard Orrick clearly knows what Platinum Dunes is. Well done. Yes. I'm going into this one blind, but I think it will be interesting. So that is going to be our 20th stream next week, Tuesday at 8 p.m, Fright Night 2011. You heard it here first. And with that done, I will remind everyone, we're still on the way to try and get that first 1K. So if you can help me out, make sure you've subscribed if you've enjoyed this. Best thing that you can do is share this around. If you know someone who is a fan of Fright Night, if you know someone who enjoys our horror movies and wants to hear a bit of an analysis, send them the channel, let them know about us, and hopefully we can cross that 1,000 barrier very soon.
Yes.
The other thing, of course, I want to say is also thank you to everyone who's been liking. We've got good likes on this video, and I really appreciate it. You guys are absolute stars. I want to give a special thanks to returning guest Charity Rivers. I'm so pleased you like this film.
Oh, thank you for having me on. I really enjoyed it. It was good fun.
Yeah. Nifty. And is there anything you'd like to shill?
I've got my there's my channel here. I haven't posted in a while because I'm basically in between moving into a new house for university, so I haven't posted much. But yeah, I posted basically over the last couple of months. There was this art YouTuber who got she turned out to be a bit of a psychopath. So I did a bit of a video on that. If anyone wants to watch that, it's the latest one on my channel.
Nice.
So
Nice. All right. And again, thanks to invaluable co-host Haryan. Anything you'd like to shill?
Thanks for having me on. Last video I made was over a week ago because this weekend was crazy busy with a village carnival I was helping out at.
So wholesome.
Yeah, exactly. Raise money for a new church hall, so that started construction yesterday. So yeah, I'm very, very based in milkman localism pilled. So hopefully I'll make a video tomorrow. If not, I'll probably stream in the evening just before I'm on Regional Variations on Tell Features channel. And then yeah, I'm away kind of this weekend, so I'm gonna have a really bad time trying to make a video. But Laughing at the Guardian will also return because I've missed that out for about a month at this point. So I'm getting back on the YouTube train.
Choo choo.
Exactly.
Oh, nice.
Tank engine pilled.
Oh, nice. And finally, That Crime Guy. Thank you again, and I'm very impressed with the score. Is there anything you'd like to share?
Well, yeah, funny enough, the video that I was promising for the last like 3-4 weeks finally came out on Sunday evening, premiered it at 9 p.m. So go and check that out. It's a very interesting case about a man who got murdered. There you go. Who would have thought? For more information, go check it out. I also streamed last night with Zen and Mitch. We brought back the Monday night community streams where we just do a little bit of true crime gameplay. We're going to be sort of switching between games. Last week, I ended up playing Jurassic Park because my control pad for my Xbox decided to play up, or the charger for it, and it turned out to be a surprisingly good first session. So we're going to be on that next week. But go and check out the stream from last night as well. There is a case that I've identified as well, which I'll be working on. It's not European and it's not within the Anglosphere, so it's not American or Canadian either. So stay tuned for that one. I might be live streaming as well. I have a plan, but I just need to iron a few things out as well. So just stay tuned. Just go to YouTube, That Crime Guy, subscribe if you haven't already. We're over 2,000 now, so thank you for that. I'm taking up way too much of this time. Need to wrap it up.
No, man, that is... I need the shill inspiration because you nail it. It's so good. Also, if I know if people are here for horror, give everyone else's channels a go. They make good stuff. And they, you see they bring good insights. With that, yes, we have overrun. We are going to be somewhat in trouble for that. I should have got the other one up, shouldn't I? Is it this
one? The Super Nanny one from last week.
No. I really like the Super Nanny one, but I thought I should do this one.
This is good.
Let's see how long I can keep doing these before it turns, before I can't have a family-friendly channel. But anyway, again, thanks to everyone who's watched live. Thank you to my guests and everyone watching on Catch Up. I hope you enjoyed. Do me a favor, sub to guest channels, sub to mine, and I hope you have a fantastic week.
Links in the description.
Oh yeah, links